Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin. I know you could be watching the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, but frankly, who wants to watch that when you can watch us, obviously? Thanks for joining us today. Smash that like button, hit subscribe. We got a lot going on this morning. We, of course, have the earnings reports from yesterday's social media stocks blasting off today. Twitter, Snapchat, thank you very much. Credit Suisse boosting their price target on Facebook while they're at it. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Intel. We will talk about China in so much as Joel will tolerate it, but China basically taking their ball, saying to the for-profit education industry, we're going to take our ball and we're going to go home and you're going to go away. Basically, my entire down filter this morning is all Chinese stocks. So we're going to talk about that. JC Parets will join us at 8:35. He's from AllStarCharts. Great follow on Twitter. Jason Raznick, I hope, will join us after that. So we got a busy show. Before I throw it to Joel, and he recaps what happened overnight, a couple of housekeeping items, 2 events I want to put on y'all's radar. First event, I mentioned this a couple days ago, is tomorrow, the next Benzinga Bootcamp. Okay, here's the link. It's benzingabootcamp.com. Tomorrow from 9 to 5, full day of education. That's tomorrow. And then the next event I want to put on your radar is not tomorrow. You have some time to put it on your calendars. It is this one. Pre-market prep. Joel and Dennis doing an event, an introduction to professional trading, August 21st, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. Joel, what are you going to be talking about?
Oh my Lord, we have so many things, and 3 hours straight of education. We're also going to have Rob Friesen from Stock Odds joining us, and it's going to be interesting because the markets are going to be closed. And I think that we both do a lot when the markets are open and doing the show, but I think it's also important to concentrate on the things that are done before before the broadcast, the after hours trading, be able to ask some questions and not be distracted by this crazy market. So looking forward to that. I don't know what to say. This is such a, I guess you call it a diverse market. I mean, I don't know how you want to put it. S&P futures gapped up. I don't know if that was from some people talking overseas or the good earnings reports, but gapped up, never looked back. And I'm just going to give one number today, 43.84.5. That's the all-time high. We came within a buck of it, $1.50. So that's our target right now on the upside. After that, who knows? What a week in the markets. Crude continuing to rebound here, now working its way towards 72. We did get to 72.11. I don't know. They're cutting, they're adding. I don't know what they're doing, but what I do know is crude is up for the 4th day in a row. Gold sinking under 1,800, down 980 at 1795.80. Silver going the same way, down 15 cents at 25.23. Bitcoin hanging in there, even though you think it would be up because Jack said, hey, this is going to be a big part of our company moving forward. That's down $135 at 32,280, and Ethereum's going the opposite way. That's up $27.25. Spencer,
Yeah,
I just don't know where to start today.
Let's just start with what we know, which is Twitter and Snapchat.
Okay.
We'll start with Twitter. We'll go to Snapchat next. Both reports were incredible. If you missed it, we did stream the Twitter earnings call on our channel yesterday at 6 p.m. You can watch it. There were some audio issues. I think that was on their end, just so you know. Anyway, Twitter, great quarter for them. Let's bring the chart up. Here we go. Bring the numbers up in pro. Here we go.
Whoa, 77. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, it was that kind of a quarter. Twitter, adjusted EPS 20 cents versus 7 cent estimate. Sales 1.19 versus $1.06 billion. Q3 sales guidance coming in higher than estimates as well. Monetizable daily active users, that's the number of users that can be served ads, 206 million versus 186 million estimate. A lot of good news here. It was their best revenue growth in like 7 years. Even though they expect to see expenses rise, they expect to see revenue outpace the increase in expenses. And the big thing was, how will Apple's new privacy policy for the iOS, how will that affect Twitter? Twitter said, not so much actually, because we get most of our revenue from brands who don't necessarily rely as much on tracking or followers throughout the internet, or following people throughout the internet, as these ad platforms do. So Twitter saying the Apple's new privacy changes won't affect them as much as maybe we initially thought. To go with great numbers, good quarter, good forward-looking numbers, and it was all pretty much good news for Twitter.
Wow, what a blast. The right off the headline number, 76.70, and you have backed off $3 from that. So I'm going to throw that out right now, and then I'm going to say, hey, when people got up this morning a little bit more level headed, 74 is going to be my potential resistance, and that's just based on the pre-market trading, and seems to be holding 72 here. So gap fill, that would take you down all the way to 70.13. It got a little overdone. To see what they can do it in the regular session. Once you get below, above 74, looks wide open. I mean, this high is not even coming into play here at 70. Well, I guess 73.22. If you just want to play it closer to the belt, forget about the pre-market action. Focus on your dailies. Let's see what happens at 73.22. That was your April 14th high. Full disclosure, long Twitter, always tempted to sell it into a report because, it usually does what off the reports. Let's see how it's going to react to a big up report. See, I don't know. I'm not looking for a big reversal in this today. It's up. It's finally had a good report. Finally operating on all cylinders.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing with Twitter, right? For so long, it was the question of, okay, can they grow in line with what we're used to seeing from their peers, right? And also, can they monetize? The monetization has been weak, but it seems like the winds are changing. Like, I'm getting just this general feeling in the air that, and you can I mean, it's reflected in the stock this morning, this general feeling that maybe Twitter's figuring things out on the monetization front. Maybe it took them a while, but maybe they're starting to figure things out here. They talked about spaces. They talked about tip jars and super followers and allowing.
Yeah, what's up with that thing? Did they give any reports from that? Did they have some kind of paid service or some kind of addition? Did they mention that at all?
I don't know if they mentioned that. Well, so I'm not sure what you're referring to, because they've got several balls on the air right now. But the big thing is they're super focused on allowing people to monetize their own Twitter followers.
Okay.
That seems to be what the big focus is right now.
Okay.
And it seems like they're starting to figure things out. And again,
how many years have we been saying that?
It's just a feeling that I have. I don't own the stock. It's just a feeling that I have. It seems like, and they talked about being more nimble on the conference call. They talked about doing more quick experiments, ending things if they don't work. Like they just ended their Snapchat copy of the fleets. That's over with. They just talked about being more nimble and doing more fast experiments and moving quicker. It seems like they're starting to figure things out on the monetization front. So it's just a general vibe that I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm certainly bullish before being bearish here on Twitter.
Okay. All right. Once again, I'll just, the way we're trading now, that crazy action, personally, I not planning on doing anything today. You do have some options, people, that I don't know what the 70s or 71s or 72s or 73s. Well, 73s aren't in the money right now. But you got to be aware of that. And we'll see what happens. 73, 22, 74, and then that was a little bit of overshoot on the upside, just over 72 holding support. And Snap is up a heck of a lot more. How'd they do?
Wait, real fast, you just freaked me out because I thought it was the third Friday of the month. And no, it's the fourth Friday of the month.
Yeah, no options. Yep.
So,
No expiration.
Okay. Snapchat, same story. Huge quarter. EPS 10 cents versus an estimate of a 1 cent loss. Sales of 982 million versus 844 million. Q3 sales guidance above estimates. Daily active users up 23% year over year to 293 million. Blowout numbers. What else do they say? They guided Q3 revenue to increase 59% year over year. Pretty much every number beat the consensus estimate. They also did say that, and again, I'm going to go back to Apple's new privacy policy, where you can basically, where the app will ask you, do you want this app to track your data? And you can say yes or no. Snapchat said that they are seeing the opt-out being adopted more slowly than expected, which I guess is good news for them.
Yeah,
but
right.
long term is still unclear. It really just depends on when you update your app, right? Because we're just getting into the beginning of this thing. So, because Apple just rolled this out this year. So, I guess we'll see. But the bottom line is, in terms of the hard numbers, the things that we know, Snapchat just blew it away last quarter. And
they blew it away. Yeah. New all-time high here. And boy, oh boy, it's at the highs of the pre-market session right now. You made a high at 74.40. But I mean, they're not giving it back.
Yeah.
It's bid up here. I mean, it's obviously, it got bid up in the after hours. It stayed bid until 8 o'clock, and it's bid now. So I don't know if it's the old bid it up to sell it trick. Sure doesn't look like it. I don't know if someone's, what the short interest is in this one, but 74.80 or 74.40 pre-market high. That's above the all-time high. All-time high was made in February at 73.59. And folks, I know it's not a food stock, but what do you do? These things are breaking out like this. Where do you sell or you don't sell? You just move your look. The CMG just kept on going. Domino's Pizza kept on going. And I know Mark mentioned yesterday that it's been sell the news on earnings season, but in banks, not in
restaurants, not in social media stocks. So those two critical exceptions, but everything else.
Yeah.
It's still early. I think it's obviously, I'm joking because it's still early because the big week is next week, but yeah.
So that's what I could give you on that. And then HCA, what did that do? Did that give you? It's giving you some red candles after the gap and go, but it's not, it's not that big, thick red candle where you go up and make a new all-time high and then come down. So, these stocks are looking good.
So while we're on the sector, let's just stick with social media. Facebook this morning catching a it was Credit Suisse maintained their outperform, but they raised their price target. We have a new street high price target. Credit Suisse is saying Facebook's going to 480. 480 is what Credit Suisse said.
And well, maybe not today.
Well, I think
this is busting out a new all-time high once again. What was the former all-time high made not too long ago? Just under 360 at 358.49. So you can see that if you get a little bit of selling. But once again, here's a scenario where the stock is up a lot at 60, a high at 62.48. It's at 61.82, and it's still bid. So, man, oh man, there's not, a lot of times you get the high, you get the pullback, you think, maybe like the Twitter, but this is up here and it's holding the bid. So better off maybe just moving your stop up to some area and get taken out on some downside momentum as opposed to trying to pick in the top.
And yes, Quattros, Pinterest is following suit this morning.
Yeah.
In the whole darn sector.
The whole world, the whole social media play.
Basically. Yeah.
Well, this was not at an all-time high yet. It came off.
Oh, is that a buy signal?
Yeah, I guess in this market. What do we have if you're trading pins? It's a little bit tighter of a market. Not quite the momentum. 77.89 if you're looking for another target in there. Right now it's 76.54 for pin interest.
All right. I just lost one of my screens here, the screen that had Benzinga Pro on it. So I think I have to go into my desk. But anyway, let's go to Intel. I don't know what the numbers.
I still own Intel.
I don't know what the numbers were because I just lost one of my screens. But here's what I have some notes here that if not the actual EPS and sales. Bottom line for Intel, this I thought was the money quote. We have seen supply chain inflation happening faster than we are electing to pass through to our customers. In other words, they're sort of between a rock and a hard place here, and they have not great pricing power. So the stock, obviously you can see on the chart, volatile after hours. I don't think the numbers were particularly great, but I can't see them right now because I just lost the screen. So I'm gonna go fix that, and you can go do the chart.
All right. You're 60 cents off the low, 54. That's a good number. The fact that you bounced 60 cents from it, that's also a daily low at 53.84. Fact that we bounced 60 cents off it makes me think, hey, if you come back down, you're going to find some buyers here for whatever reason. I won't be one of those buyers yet. And then also, what else can we tell on this one? It seems pretty firm. I mean, I think you got a scalper in here, and he's basically going to go bid at 55, 54, offered at 55. And where do you have to? You got a ways to go to get to the top of or the bottom of yesterday's range at 55, 68. But it looks kind of like a trade to range day, 54, 55 Intel, and kind of in the middle right now.
Okay, so here we go on Intel because I got the numbers back. The EPS was okay. They had a low bar to clear on the guidance. They raised their guidance. Here's what they also said: they expect to see chip shortages bottom out in the second half of this year, but it will take another 1 to 2 years to have a complete recovery from the chip shortages. So there's your timeline now, 1 to 2 years in Intel. This is like a wait and see type of situation, probably, right? Like this could end up working out long term, but it could be a brutal 1 to 2 years in the meantime. So wait and see on Intel, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the most positive forecast, and
no.
We'll see. What this new guy's in here doing, but doesn't look like it's an immediate turnaround. Had the big pop on the day that happened, and how the heck how did I lose a bet to you on this thing? Wasn't it like 60?
I don't remember. Yeah.
When I was in it, I took a bearish bet and ended up losing on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember that. I don't remember what the numbers were, but I remember that happening. All right. Let's talk about what you don't want to talk about right now.
Well, wait, real quote. Dakota
Sure.
Brown, if you put a stop loss in a stock, does it show up as a sell order in a particular place on the order book?
Good question.
No, it does not. No, it does not show up on the book.
It will show up on the if you place like a stop limit and it gets to that price and that then becomes like a market order, then it will show up on the book. That's my understanding. But if you're going to just throw out a stop order out there, then no. Then what Joel said, I think, is right. Okay. All right, here. Cold Blooded wants to talk about TLT. Let's talk about TLT, and then we'll go to the Chinese stocks. What's TLT doing this morning? I admittedly haven't looked in like an hour. Okay.
All right. The old a little bounce.
No.
Bad day yesterday. I don't know if we had some economic data out or whatever. It's still it's down. It's down $1.44 after the up day yesterday. So you should be good for your banks here.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yep. It's good for your banks. Just a big rally, I think, in your TLT off the low for really no specific reason, right? We're still all worried about interest rates. And so, when you have a big move like this and there's always retracements and pullbacks. So that's what you're getting today. You're through I see some support at we're at 148 still. I guess you're opening in yesterday's low here in TLT, 148.06. So that was exact low from yesterday, and it looks like it's trying to hold in there. So see what happens at the bottom of yesterday's range. I still don't understand why the bonds rallied like that. I don't understand the inflation thing. Just about every guest we come on, we talk about it. And I just think it's something you just got to put out of your head and just not think about it. And, because ultimately, the TLT is going up is good indicator for stocks. And that's certainly, that certainly came true this week.
All right, let's go to the real fun thing of the day.
Oh, jeez.
Chinese education stocks. If you're reading the tea leaves, if you zoom out to a long-term chart on any of them, there's a half dozen tickers. I'll name them right now. You could be talking about GOTU. The big one that we all know is probably TAL.
Yeah.
TAL is the big one. GOTU, by the way, is the former GSX. They rebranded.
Yeah.
So TAL. EDU is the other big one that we all know. There are a bunch of smaller ones too. One, like ONE is one. COE is another. YQ. Okay, so basically what's happening here is a report from Bloomberg that China is considering turning these companies into nonprofits. And with that comes several terms, essentially listed firms like the ones I just named you, all these companies that are publicly listed, will no longer be allowed, per this report from Bloomberg, to invest in or acquire education companies teaching school subjects as long as so that's the first part, is listed firms will no longer be able to invest in or acquire other companies, and foreign capital is going to be barred from the sector. Essentially, if you're in these things and you're not out by now, I don't know what you're doing. You can pull up a long-term chart on any of them, frankly, as Joel just did. Look at the bottom right chart on the EDU right there. They all look like that, right? REDU, YQ, DAO, they all look the same. The game is over. The jig is up. This industry is dead. I'm sorry if you're in this stuff. These several of these stocks have been the subject of short reports over the years. The Chinese government is taking their ball and they're going home, and that's the end of that, frankly. So these are all probably going to get delisted here eventually.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't see. Well, I don't know. I mean, they're going after their own companies.
Well, they're going after their own companies to exert. I mean, this is just a theory. I don't actually know anything.
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
But the implication, right, is that they're going to exert more control. And isn't that what it's all about, right? It's about control of everything, control
of education.
Control of education specifically. I mean, that's what these companies do. I've never held these things. I've never invested in them, or I've never traded them. But it's about control. And then someone in the chat is mentioning DD. Yeah, I mean DD, like you would, like, they're in trouble for sure. I don't know if they're in like this much trouble, right?
That took out 11 yesterday. Holy mac, and now down to 9.
But it goes back to the point of like, right, and Johnny Oski's, I mean, Baba, yeah, like they're all China's down this morning. It goes back to the point we talked about from like a couple months ago when, no, this was like, it may have been late last year when Jack Ma first like sort of went missing.
That was the tip of the iceberg.
Put that in quotes. In hindsight, exactly right. Why would you want to own any of these? And yeah, there are days when like you can see like buy the dip like happens and China stocks like lead us higher. Like the other week we did a chat challenge, and the winner, and it was just pick what you think will be the best performing stock for the next week, and the winner picked DD, right? Because like nothing goes straight down, right? So there are going to be times when these things are rip higher, but it just goes back to, why would you want to own any of these? Why would you even want to own the FXI? Forget the individual stocks. Why would you want to own FXI? Why would you want to own like a KWeb or even like an EEM, which is like a broad emerging market ETF that has a lot of China? I don't know how much China, but it's got a lot of China. I don't know. I would love to hear. I would love to hear the thesis. I really would. I'm being genuine. I want someone to fight me on this. I just don't know why anybody would want to own anything here when we just saw what can happen. The Chinese government can snap their fingers and kill an industry if they want.
There's something here, like when they write the history books here in 10, 15, 20 years about the period and this move, there's going to be something. Move is a move that leads to another move.
So the
what
other
that move's going to be, I have no idea.
The other side of the coin is John's like, look at Neo, and this isn't a huge overreaction. Obviously, the Chinese government is not going to kill every single industry. The EV industry is a whole separate animal. As I understand it, they're supporters, they're backers of Neo, right? So is this an overreaction in some stocks? Maybe, perhaps. But like, why even risk it? Frankly, I don't know. And there's a good point from Andrew Garver. This is all off of a Bloomberg report, so we don't have actually anything official yet. This is all from Bloomberg, so take that for what it is. I just
what a tough day.
Look, I owned K-Web for like 3 years, and I
wish I would have went up north this week instead of last week. I mean, this is
that's it. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
I don't even want to do technical analysis.
Okay. So what about what ScarJo just said though? Why would I sell my BABA now at the lows? Let's talk about that for a second, Joel. So let's pull BABA. Let's say you're in BABA. Oh God, it's such a hard thing.
It's not at the low, first of all.
No, it's at the low of the last few months. But
well, the actual low,
the low of the year, right?
Yeah, was 198.28. So it's not at the low. I guess it's not a question of selling it. It's maybe just not buying it. I mean, if you're in it, you're in it. Maybe it's been in a range. The ranges keep coming lower and lower. Now, I think for BABA, what the thing is they have some investment in these companies, right? So I don't know how much of an investment they have in some of these education companies.
So incestuous. Basically, Tencent and BABA between them have investments in every company that we've heard of, I think. Right. And that, it's a slight exaggeration, but not that slight. Whoever just said this in the chat. Yeah. James is like, you're right. I don't like selling. Frankly, I don't like to sell. It was a big deal for me to part with K-Web, but I did it. So I don't know. Like, there's going to be buy the dippers coming in here. There's going to be companies like Neo or not. There's going to be companies potentially Neo that are going to end up okay, right?
I just looked at this Neo. I just brought that up. I mean, that's down at it's at your 2-day low at $197. 44. At least I have some reference here. So I like the support here. Let's see if we can hold 44. It doesn't quite look. I mean, we're right there right now. It doesn't hold 44. You got some more work to do on the downside. The next daily low comes in at 42.43. And I wish someone would have mentioned this a couple days ago, because I would have been all over the 47. And the reason is you had 3 highs right here, right at 47, 47.01, 682, 691. And then it gave you 2 more chances, and then you put in an exact double top there. So we should have brought that one up. Even if you would have brought it to my attention yesterday, I would have talked about. So that's what I can see in Neo. I'm just going to have to pass on these other ones because, I mean, you can try and buy the dip, and it's just a report. But if you're buying the dip, what you basically are saying is, okay, the Chinese government is not doing this, and they're not cracking down. And then the problem is when you get the counter to the news, there's just so many people stuck anyways. So, man, this thing's went from 20 to 6.5, 20 down to 2. Carnage, man. Carnage.
Yeah, you know what though? I mean, maybe who is this in chat? Ho Disperatilla. I can't pronounce that. Be greedy when others are fearful. Yeah, the time to buy is when the blood is in the streets, even if the blood is your own. Maybe you're right. I don't know. All I know is I'm fearful, so I can't do it. I just can't do it. And Joel can't either, and Dennis can't either. So Dennis already owns Baba, but the rest of us don't. So let's do this. 1 in chat if you agree with us. 2 in the chat if you were thinking, no, I'm going to take a chance here on any of these stocks. I'm curious what the mood is out there. It's 8:31. Joel, you know what was not on my radar? Was Boston Beer Company.
Oh,
Sam.
jeez.
I had absolutely no idea that the earnings last year were as good as they were. So here are the numbers, right? Boston Beer reported earnings yesterday for last quarter, $4.75. Well, that was actually down from a year ago. I had no idea that was the thing. Down from $4.88 a year ago. Sales, which I think is probably a more indicative number here. Sales at $602 million versus $665 million a year ago. And the thing about it, like EPS is EPS can be input costs and could be inflation, whatever. Sales is sales. So if they're saying that sales is declining year over year, I guess I had no idea that last year was as good a year as it was for Sam. But I guess everybody was drinking last summer. I mean, it makes some sense.
It's down 190. Are you there, Mitch?
One drink did this run, Spencer. That's why you got to stay with the social trends, right? Twisted tea is the culprit.
Okay, yeah. I haven't. I haven't admittedly missed out on like the seltzer. I don't like hard seltzer. I've missed that whole thing. So explain to us, Mitch, what is the culprit here?
So really, this went on a social run, the Twisted Tea life, and it was really based off of a fight. I don't want to really go into that situation. You can look up the video yourself.
Okay.
Had to do with kind of a racial slur, so that's why I'm not going to get into it here. But that itself caused a massive demand and supply issue for Sam here because they couldn't even get Twisted Tea in the stores anymore. It would literally, people were buying cases of this thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't. Joel and I were not those people.
So. Nope. We might have not been those people.
Okay. So in any case, So here's a chart. It's down. Joel sort of speechless this morning looking at the chart. I had no idea that it was such a great year for Sam. I had no clue. I didn't realize it was over $1,000. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that. So
it's not even bouncing. Crazy. I mean, it's down $194, and it's like there's no sign of a bounce there. I mean, it's a thinly traded stock. It was up near 1,300. I mean, on these kind of situations, you go to the monthlies, and you got to be thinking if this, maybe someday this will get back over 800. You had 2 monthly lows at 757. Where are we at? Oh, I guess that's where we're there right now. I mean, if you want to take a poke and you think, this, there you go, 2 monthly lows. I mean, one's at 766.30. And the other one is at 756.57. I ain't shorting it down $192, but if you're buying it, I mean, look at this monthly candle here. There's nothing in here, and this is the first day of the carnage. So
yeah,
don't quote me on this, but it's opening into some monthly support, and I don't even know if anybody trades options on this thing, but. I'm just going to take a flyer on the 900 puts. Well, you're $145 in the money, folks. Figure out something to do with that. I don't have my options platform.
I should add to that. They gave some guidance. They gave some EPS guidance for the fiscal year, and they gave a range of $18 to $22 versus a $25 estimate. So a bit light. Just smidge light on the EPS guidance for the year, and a few people in the chat saying, "Yeah, my buddy." Someone just said, "Heck said his buddy bought Twisted Tea because of that fight that Mitch mentioned." That I didn't even know. I didn't even know about this till an hour ago. So,
you're gonna have to look it up, Spencer. I'm sure you'll look it up afterwards.
After the show.
Quick rant here. Yeah. I've been to the Samuel Adams factory. I saw the guy with the beard making beer. And that's what really made me a Samuel Adams fan for life, is that it wasn't a joke. The commercials don't lie. Yeah. That guy with that master beard really is making my beer. So,
I will say that the Sam Adams Summer Ale is one of my favorite beers.
yeah,
so-
I like Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
Oktoberfest is a good
I
one.
mean, they do. And I know, Mitch, you're in Colorado, so I don't know how much Coors you drink, but not a fan. But Sam Adams, I am a fan of.
Don't worry, they lleft Colorado. I'm not a fan anymore.
They did.
I mean-
Oh, I had no idea. They always advertise that they're from the Rockies. So
I don't even want to go there.
okay.
Before this is going to do, it's not going to do anyone any good at all. But you had a good seller in there for the last 6-7 days in a row. Someone wanted out of the report. I don't know how close all those highs are together, but you get a stock at the low of the move. You got a bunch of it's not as tight as I thought because it was a 4-digit stock, but boy, oh boy, let's see what happens.
So the one sympathy, speaking of Coors, is Tap, which is down a little bit this morning.
Yeah. I guess beer is out. This is not good. It's not good for Budweiser. What's Constellation Brands doing off this? Actually, Budweiser's. I wonder if that's a bad tick.
It's down. Offer down.
Yeah, and now I see it up. Constellation's brand down. Oh, danger on this Constellation Brands here. This 220 level has been monthly support going back 4 months. Looks like we're breaking that. So important for Constellation Brands to get back hold 220. They're a little bit more diversified though.
Yes, they're also a weed play. So
yeah.
That's so.
Are you bringing that up as a positive or a negative?
I'm just neither. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, CGC.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. You have a stock like that in your portfolio. You see the market up. You're thinking, I'm probably gonna have a good day, and then you look at it. So, boy, oh boy. We'll see what happens, and we'll see. I mean, at least if you're thinking to buy it, see what happens today. Maybe put a couple lows in at the same area. But that's the other thing about owning these high-priced stocks. When these kind of things happen, it doesn't take. What's the volume on Sam this morning? It doesn't take a whole much to slam Sam, right? 20. That's on 20,000 shares. What did it trade yesterday? I bet you it doesn't trade a lot. We traded 500,000. You had a big volume day yesterday, so people were active ahead of the report. The sellers are happy. The buyers are not.
All right, no one's buying beer because they're all probably too busy buying new shoes. Skechers had earnings last night. EPS, yeah, SKX. That's right. That's where we're going next. 88 cents is what they made per share last quarter. Up huge year over year. Sales beat the estimate. They gave strong guidance. They guided the fiscal year sales in low $6 billion range versus a high $5 billion estimate. Q3 guidance came in higher as well. Good numbers across the board for SKX, and the stock is up this morning.
Did it ever split? Did that split or not? For some reason, I don't know. I don't think it did. Nice move. At least a new all-time high according to this chart. This looks a little different than some of the other pre-market charts. You've hit 56, and now you backed off to 53.62. So profit taking in there on the big move up. So I think you have to find an intermediate level ahead of that pre-market high at 56. At least on the 15-minute chart here, there's been a step down seller since it hit 56. So keep an eye on the open right now. Even though it's up 212, it has some momentum to the downside, at least in my opinion.
All right, so it appears we were ditched this morning by not one but two of our guests. Because,
really?
JC Parets is supposed to be on, and he's not answering me right now, so I don't know what happened to him. And Jason Raznick, I don't know what happened to him either.
You know what happens? You know what happens when you ditch us?
You get banned from the show.
You get banned from the show.
Yeah.
I guess we can't ban Jason because
that would be hard.
That would be a hard one.
That would be hard to do. But
he hasn't been on in a couple of weeks. Is he doing okay?
Well, he was traveling he had a couple of random business trips pop up, so he was out of office a couple of Fridays. But you're right, he has not been on in a few weeks.
You know what he's probably doing? He's probably working on his golf game. Maybe gearing up
Well-
for the club championships or something like
Well,
that.
he's past that now because the Rocky Mortgage Classic was a few weeks ago. So he was like,
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking, local stuff. But all right.
and for those asking, we will get Marcus back on, but Marcus is also out of town. Marcus told me he was going out of town for 3 weeks, so Marcus is also out of town. But we will. It's on my.
We'll get him back on.
It's on my. It's on my list to reach out to Marcus. I haven't reached out to him yet. It's on my list to get him back on the show.
$8. Come on, hold in there at $8. Boy, we haven't talked about that. It's like new. There's a stock that, if you're in it, it just had bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news. To me, eventually the news is going to get you. Well, whatever. They're going to find some money. They're going to find someone to take them over or whatever. But man, you got to follow the news. Get your Benzinga Pro and follow the news. So.
RFCCW says we got to get Newsom back on the show. We haven't talked to Jeremy for a hot minute.
Yeah, I will get him.
like Newsom.
I will.
Everyone likes Jeremy.
Yeah, how can you not? I mean, the guy's definitely a likable guy.
He's too nice, if you ask me. Joel, you want to look at someone just dropped Akamai in there? We talked about this.
What's going on with that?
At the close show yesterday, we had a bit of an internet outage. We had some problems pretty much across the internet yesterday. It affected Benzinga a little bit, actually, but it affected like UPS and FedEx and Google and Apple and Amazon. A lot of AWS stuff was down. A lot of big companies down. Fidelity, I saw, Schwab, all due to this Akamai outage. And I did misspeak on the At the Close show. I said it was a hack. I said that's what they said. I misspoke. Akamai said it was not a hack, just to clear that up.
Just a glitch, huh?
But
it's trading. I don't know if that might just be a fluffy print there at 117.80. Yeah, not much volume on that one. Well, the good news is that this hasn't been acting like the market at all. Boy, this is the weirdest. Like this made a new low. It matched Monday's low on Wednesday. And then it has bad news on it, and it didn't get there yesterday. So can't figure it out, folks. I will say if it does go into rally mode, 119.56, couple highs in the 119 handle. I don't know about this print having it up 84 cents, but if it happens to go red on the session, it takes out that 116. I mean, it doesn't have a long way to go to get to the 114.60. This thing's been tight for a couple months now. July it hasn't had much of a range. In June it hasn't had much of a range. So this one's brewing up for something. Actually, these are the two smallest months you didn't have any ranges this small in 2020. 19, maybe 1 month at range, but quiet, volume, very low volume here up on this one. It's ramping up. It's just, who knows? It's just been quiet for a long time.
Yeah, we have not talked about Akamai for a while.
Look at it. It's not moving.
No, even yesterday when it closed down, 0.5%. What?
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay, let's do some ticker time. Drop your tickers in the chat. I have not written anything down.
All right. Well, we get some tickers. I wanted to call out the software applications starting to really start coming back. If you look at, I'll just show you this index. So this is really starting to push back up. One of the areas that I've been looking in is those dating applications like Match. So Bill, you could pull up Match and then Bumble. Okay. Those are the two that I'd really kind of point out. And Bumble started getting that lift yesterday. Match recovered that resistance. Now I'm looking that's going to probably make a new support there. So who knows? Maybe we get these to start running.
We haven't talked about these too much lately.
I guess it would be a reopening play.
We don't know.
Yeah, it really is, though. At the end of the day, I mean, just think about it like this. Simple as this. In the pandemic, do you really think single people were just going out, just dating left and right?
No, it's not a question of going out. It's a question of using the app. And
but I mean, we can be honest, Spencer. How do most people meet people nowadays?
It's through the app.
Through the app.
So usage probably went up last year, is what I'm saying.
I think maybe
everyone is stuck at home, and what else are they going to do?
Okay.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
I
but
don't
Who knows?
know.
Maybe you've got an argument there.
I'm just speculating, but I feel like
well, boy, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to buy a girl a drink on an
well,
app.
who cares if you even get to to that point? It's just at the end of the day,
Send her over a beer. Send her. Well, not a
even
Samuel
about
Adams.
that. It's about app use. It's about active users, and I'm sure the people that are usually, oh no, I can't do a dating app. Those people were stuck at home last year, just like the rest of us. So I don't
I
know.
just think they weren't going out, and I think it like might have lifted them to go into the app to trying to go out.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Anyway, okay. So these are both interesting charts. I don't know if you have thoughts on either of them, Joel, and we can move on.
The Bumble, that's one that's more slated towards the women, correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think. I mean, you guys know how much.
No, you're right.
All that stuff. I've been married for 32 years.
You're right.
Boom. It's moving up. It had it finally put the low in and had the move up to 60. Had some profit taken, moving back up. If you're looking at it, you're looking at maybe follow through today. It's up 60 cents. Maybe get a look at some daily highs here. 53.87. That's the first one. Actually, two highs, 53.87, 53.49. A little bit of resistance there. The things open up to 55. Hasn't come anywhere near getting back half of that. Got way overdone off the IPO. Still trying to get back half of that move from the IPO. I know Match, Barry Diller's company. That's been in a trading range. Now it busted out of the top of the trading range. It'd been like 137 to 160 for quite a while, and it busted out of it. So let's hold over 160 here. Maybe test that all-time high in MTCH. S&Ps are just really quiet this morning for all the action in all the stocks. I think we probably have had less than a 4-point range during the show. Pretty unusual. So it's up, but it's still bid. We'll see what happens when the liquidity comes in. The real money comes in at 9:30.
All right. Any news on CCIV? That's the $1 million question. Mitch, is the vote over yet?
No, it's not. They're going to be having another meeting today. They're struggling, man.
Never going to end. It's been going on for 3 days.
I can tell you right now that its majority of it has gone through. There's one perspective that wasn't voted on enough to go through. So what they're going to do is they're going to have that meeting today to finish this off. Should it get done today? I really do think it goes through. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't really had any of these really not go through. Some of them have suffered through some like kind of delays in the voting process, but majority have gone through that end. I think you're starting to see it start lifting here in pre-market. And it could definitely be a runner going into today. I like that it went down yesterday. It's actually I think it was a good price action to get a pullback yesterday. That could actually help today get that lift.
Okay.
And just going off, prior history, with these things is that, the vote comes, they pop, and that's usually a pretty good selling opportunity when and if, the vote is done. If you do see that sudden pop up to the upper 24 handle, be aware your 2 and 3 day highs, 24.74, 24.93. So that's it in CCIV, and we'll see what happens with the vote later today. What are they using? Like Paul Revere and the Pony Express to go get the to go pick up the.
Seriously. All right,
the British are coming.
Yeah. See, you know what? We haven't talked Palantir for a while. James is bringing this up. There was a time we talked Palantir probably every day for a couple of weeks, but we haven't talked about it here for a little bit here. James noting a steady decline in volume, which is certainly the case here. This is one of the most loved stocks among social media traders. It's like this is up there with AMC and GameStop in terms of like it does seem like it seems like everyone loves this stock.
It's had that sell off, got over 27. I've had this 27 on here, actually for quite a long time. Overdone at 45. It was quiet off the IPO, pierced 20 a couple times. So I think if you're holding out for a little bit lower risk, maybe get closer to 20. But 22 you can lean on. three highs in the same area. This would be my focus for today. Would be unless we get through 2270. We're currently trading 2207. Not seeing any upside. That looks like a pretty firm triple top for now. If you're going red on the session, 2183. Just quiet here. And interestingly, this whole move, the move off that low, 1738 up to 27, just over 2735. Right here, your mid range is here. It's still digesting it. So, hey, it holds in here a couple more days and then perhaps resume its uptrend. But you're right. And doesn't this thing move like, don't they just get contracts? Like, oh, a $6 million contract goes up $1.50. $10 million contract, it goes up. I bet you just haven't had any announcements of any announcements of any contracts. So there, with a lack of a catalyst, that's the price action. And we haven't mentioned Kathy. You talk about mentioning stuff and don't mentioning stuff. What's Kathy? Have we abandoned Kathy?
We could never abandon Kathy. Hold on one second.
The last time, Joel, that this one broke out from that 21 price point, it was because of a contract. And so we're coming back near to that level. So I kind of like it too. I like that you brought that up, the contracts. You just need to see some more contracts go in.
I'm pretty sure I actually deleted the email from last night because I was like, to Joel's point, I was like, oh, why bother? Wait, hold on. I just got it back here. I haven't looked at this for a hot minute here. Any notable buys or sales? Not that I'm seeing here. Largest buy was QSI. Looks like in terms of number of shares, QSI, she bought 800,000 shares in the ARKG. Yeah, that's the largest buy from yesterday. Okay. Tony bringing up an interesting point about Palantir, though. I'm seeing a float of 1.6 billion shares. Float's so large. Palantir is not a candidate for a short squeeze. To me, that's actually a good thing. I like to see a nice large float, right? Can't be pushed around. I mean, it can be. It just takes like a lot of capital, right? I like that. To me, that's a good thing. Is when your float can't be pushed around. So I'm into the large float. Although it does mean, no retail driven short squeeze, which, take that.
It could be just for right now, it just looks like since you had the IPO and the overshoot, you've had a trading range, and that's 20 to 27. You're in the lower part of the trading range. So
okay,
little blip. Go ahead.
JC just emailed me. He was very apologetic. He thought it was during the day. What do we do? Is JC banned from the show, or do we unban him? Because he was like, it's my fault. I'm sorry. He got the times mixed up, I think.
You're the producer, Spencer.
Okay, so all right.
JC's a good guy. We'll give him.
JC's a good guy.
So the ban has been lifted.
Okay.
Sam is still getting slammed. And I'm probably the first person on Wall Street to say that. Down $194.16 at 753.38. Poor Sam. Let's see here.
They're slamming back the bruise, or they're slamming back the stock. I mean, it looks like the stock, but
let's talk about Ronnie Clark. Let's talk about a normal stock. Let's talk about
how about a monster move of this last year? Asana starting to move again and ripping through the daily. What a move. Still regretting I don't have this. I mean, I don't think this was like one of those stocks that we talked about yesterday. Those stocks that you wish you had.
Yeah.
I wish I had Asana.
I think Raz talked about this one a long time ago, didn't he?
He did. I gotta give Raznick where Raznick is due. He was pushing Asana from the beginning.
Well, this is going in the eventual Benzinga ETF. If that ever happens, this is going in there because
it's so hard. Spencer, do you use that Asana?
On the record, yes.
I love that one. You put him on the record real quick.
On the record,
like, let me say yes.
Off the record, I haven't used it for a while.
You know what I call it?
Yes.
And I don't want to swear. I don't want to use a bad word, but I call it I don't have the password for that one anymore. But obviously, a lot of people are using it. Boy, oh boy, what a strong stock. Trading up. I guess you just want to keep improving on that all-time closing high. The high from yesterday, 74.49, 73.64. Big range in it yesterday, the big day yesterday, breaking out. So what are you going to do with that one?
Yeah, I don't know. Wait, what was the stock you were about to mention, Joel? Before Asana.
AXP.
Oh, because they had earnings, a normal stock with the real.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I have not looked at this one this morning. We had AXP and we had Honeywell this morning. American Express, $2.80 versus $1.58 estimate. Sales of 10.2 versus $9.5 billion. So a beat and a beat. Have not looked at the chart. Oh, okay, nice. I didn't look at this one.
Break it out.
Yeah, very nice. Good call out.
Breaking out over 175. So that former all-time high of just under 175, 174.76, should act as support if you do go into a retreat. Pre-market high if you're looking for a target. Stopped right on the kisser, 178. It did that a couple times, so I think you got a patient seller there at 178, opening up $6. Now, let's see what the daily volume is on this. There should be some stock in the book, maybe to hold it down a little bit at the open. Yeah, I mean, this thing trades 3-4 million shares a day. I've seen one day where it traded 6.75 million. So if you have your New York open book, maybe take a look, because for this to open up $7, I mean, you got to find just a lot of buyers to maintain that off the open. So yeah, it's only traded 109,000 shares and has to clear $7. I mean, I bet you there was some paper stacked up at 175 as well, because that was a former all-time high.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at this comment from Chewy. Chewy, rewind the show like a half hour, man. You sort of
I don't know what the
fun. You sort of missed all the fun. Or
not fun if you own it.
You're right. I'm sorry. It's not fun if you own it, but the whole just that's all I can say.
Look at that. There's no bounce. Look at this thing. It's down 417, and this reminds me of like someone coming into the pit and they want to get short, and it's just like, bid.
Yeah.
Give me a bid. If someone gives a bid, sold, but
I'm sure I'm going to hear about this, but there's a lot of short reports on these educational Chinese stocks.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them.
There was a bunch of them before these knockdowns. So I mean, I know that everybody kills the people that put out short reports. So a part of me is actually giving them a little plus side today, because they did kind of warn towards it.
Someone RSQ1 just summed it up best. China. What happened? China happened. That's what happened. China. Yeah. So. Sorry about that. Okay, it is 8:59. We're gonna say goodbye to Joel in like 30 seconds. So Joel, any final thoughts before you hop off for the morning?
My final thought would be, you got your pre-market high at 83. You have your all-time high at 84.5. You're hanging up here. So you test that, based on the average daily range, we could work our way into the 4,400 handle. But first things first, you got to take care of that all-time high at 84.5, and that's buffeted by the pre-market high on the downside here. Just not much, because you gap to go. If we can't hold 43.75, maybe we'll get a look on the downside. But our close, folks, is way down at 59.50. So you're gonna need some bad news for that. But I'm gonna hop off now. Hopefully they have some easier stocks for me to look at that in pre-market prep plus. So I'm gonna hop over there, and Spencer, I'll see you at 3:30. Hopefully the market will be a little bit more tame then.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been pretty tame since Tuesday. But all right, it is 9 o'clock. So Joel's over on premarketprep.com. Here's what's going to happen on this stream. I'm going to hang out for a little bit now. I'm going to bring on Ryan Faluna, and we're just going to chill and we'll hang out for the next hour or so. Ryan, I'm sure, has some trades he's watching. We'll watch him do that through the open. And we'll bring on a few other friends as well. At 10 o'clock, just some programming notes. At 10 o'clock, I will be joined by Tom Jensen, the CEO of FREYR Battery, FREY. is the ticker, and EV battery maker. So I'll be live with Tom Jensen at 10. We'll go for about 15 minutes or so, and then at 10:30, we're going to do something different, a little bit different. Yesterday we streamed the EA Play Live event, where they went through their pipeline of games. We're going to do a reaction to that at 10:30. So this stream will end. We'll do a short half-hour reaction. We've gotten some very positive feedback when it comes to gaming content. People seem to want more gaming content. There seems to be a huge appetite for that. So a couple of our hardcore gamers here at Benzinga are going to hop on the stream and give their takes on EA and the pipeline. That'll be at 10:30. And then, of course, Backs Attack will be at 11 as per normal. That being said, that was 9:02. So let's bring on Ryan Faluna, the man with the plan. And Ryan, last I saw you, we were going our separate ways in Detroit. I hope you had a good rest of your night.
I did. My plane was unable to be started when I got to the airport. We boarded a super hot plane, of course, forced to wear masks. We were then deplaned. I spent hours in the airport. It was absolutely horrible, but when I got back, everything was great. Now, here's the kicker, Spence. We're going to get to the stocks in a sec.
Okay.
You and I had a great discussion about the Formula One show.
Yeah, we did.
I haven't started watching it. I'm going to.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about Charles Leclerc, right? And you had asked how he's doing, and I said, he's not really making the push yet.
Yeah.
Literally the next day, when they actually had the race, Verstappen and Hamilton got into a wreck in lap one, and Leclerc led for most of the race. And then Hamilton came back and beat him. So he is doing better. I was watching that race and I was like, Spencer somewhere is probably smiling and clapping because I literally, it was a horrible call on my part. So he wasn't doing that good. Then he finished second.
So I've been a Formula One fan for like 3 weeks. And I think this is like the coolest sport in the world now, thanks to that Netflix show. Mitch is going to the Austin Grand Prix. I don't even know when that is, but Mitch is going.
I'm so jealous, man.
We should talk about Formula One more at some point.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to the stocks. I do really quickly want to. There is some love being spread here in the chat. Hey James, how you doing? Chris from the chat, welcome. James, Lakshmi, a lot of familiar faces in here. A lot of really nice comments going around. So really appreciate it. I'm ready to have some fun today. Spencer, did you guys cover BBIG at all on pre-market prep?
No, we did not. So I have to admit, Ryan, I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so here's why I'm confused. Because there's two competing headlines this morning, right? As I understand it. So the first headline is, so in terms of chronological order, the first headline was an S1 filing for 44 million shares. Right? They're doing an offering, right? We broke a story at 8:30, and the story is that they completed the acquisition of Zash Global Media.
Yep.
Which is like, I guess a TikTok competitor. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is. I mean, from everything that I know, I'm not an expert on this, but yes, from everything that I know, that's exactly what it is.
So if you look at the chart of BBIG this morning, it looks really funky because it was up 10%, above 380. Then it went back down to 350, 345 actually, and now it's above $4. So there's competing headlines, and I don't know how to make heads or tails of this.
So that's neither do I, frankly. I like the competing headlines because I think we're actually going to get trading opportunities out of that today. Now, as far as actually trading goes, to me, this is just a day trade target. In fact, we've actually discussed this ticker quite a bit in the happy hour show over the past several months. This is prone to runs and then gigantic pullbacks. So what I would say here is I really don't want to chase green candles, and I'm certainly not going to hold it overnight, let alone a weekend. So right away, I'm happy about the competing headlines, if you will, because I think we're going to get trading opportunities, but I'm certainly not going to hold it through the close. I'm just going to try to open and close on the same day.
Okay. So yeah, we did have the exclusive at 8:30, but I didn't. Between that, our headline was bullish, but the headline before that was bearish, and I was like, what? I don't even know what what's going on here. So
yeah, well, I mean, the couple of things to take away here. So first of all, offerings, it's tough, right? Because you're diluting the shares.
Right.
But the thing is that if the company is going to use the money for something good, then that's not necessarily bearish. I mean, Tesla has an offering and it goes up on an offering. So in this case, I think what the market is doing, and I'm just speculating. This is not something that I own, and I'm not going to own it for anything more than a day trade. But what I suspect is that, okay, well, we did the registration, or we did the offering, got some money, and now we're closing a deal here for an acquisition of a TikTok rival. So my best guess here, and this is just an educated guess, I don't know for sure, is that we're looking, okay, sure, we diluted the shares a little bit, but maybe that was for a good reason. And then overall, the market actually likes this. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to try to do the normal strategy that I have, where I'm hoping that this comes into a support level and then takes off, and I want to capture that movement. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
Also, real quickly, what's going on, Hadid? Nice to see you this morning. Good luck today, Hadid. By the way, great trader. If you guys don't follow or chat with him, he's amazing. Also, I saw a comment from Chris earlier that money was flowing out of some of those Chinese names that you guys discussed in pre-market prep and into the SPY, and I would agree with that. I think that's actually good for some of the American names over here. So let's see what happens. Let's see how this plays forward.
You own any Chinese stocks? Any ETF?
No.
China? Anything? No.
Nope. If I can't trust the numbers for a company, I can't justify owning the stock long term, especially with any type of sizable position. That's
the other thing. I didn't even talk about that. My bearishness stems from like the fact that the government can do basically whatever they want. They can decide to end an industry overnight. But these numbers that we get from these companies are very often, I shouldn't say very often, can be extremely misleading. Look at Luckin Coffee is obviously the prime example of this, but it's not the only example. So that's something you got to think about as well. Is the numbers can be massaged, shall we say?
Yep, absolutely. And I've played some of these stocks before, right? I mean, I've owned Baba a number of times. I've traded Baba a number of times. Just not my thing. I try to learn from lessons that I go through personally. If I continue to lose on something over and over again, I just stop trading that and I look for something that works. Pretty simple.
Okay. What are you watching besides BBIG? What are you watching this morning?
All right, got a couple here. BBIG is one of them. That's going to be my main target, especially since we had an exclusive this morning, which is pretty cool. We're looking at SCKT. Excuse me. This thing is just an absolute monster. This thing's up over 100%. So this could be pretty volatile too. This one, I definitely want to see a sizable pullback. I wouldn't be shocked or upset if this really kind of pulled back down through 1212. I'm not sure if this goes higher. It does have a decent catalyst, right? Earnings always going to be a good catalyst. So my question is this too extended? I don't have an answer to that. So I want to watch this. I want to see how this goes. The other one here is going to be ALZN, right? This is you can see the why is it moving that we have here. Trading higher if the company announced it received positive toxicology results for AL002, a good laboratory practices toxicology study using transgenic mouse model of Alzheimer's disease. Next week is pretty much Alzheimer's week. There's a big data dump for Sava on Friday of next week. So a lot of the Alzheimer's stocks going into next week and how they trade next week, they're going to be on a watch list both for day trades and potential swing or investments, depending on how you feel about that sector. For today, though, I think that this might kind of be in flux, right? Because there are a lot of people that know about all this stuff next week. So we're going to see what happens with this stock today. We've really kind of broken down from all of the levels that I marked off pre-market here. I'll probably add another one here if we hold above this, but this would be the other one. So I got a really, really small watch list today, Spencer. We got SCKT, ALZN, and BBIG. Those three stocks. That's all I'm watching out of the open here.
Okay, just to again, from the chat here, people saying what I'm picking on China because as if there isn't fraud in the U.S. Of course, I didn't say there isn't fraud in the U.S. Obviously,
yeah, I never heard you say that.
Obviously, there's fraud everywhere. I'm just saying I am predisposed to trust the numbers from China a little bit less than I am the numbers in the U.S. Shout out to Happy Muhammad who pointed out CCIV. Looks like the vote just ended. Look at that candle. Looks like we're all clear. We're all clear here. Lucid Motors merger happening is what the price action would indicate. Because if it didn't go through, we'd be going back to 10. So
Yeah.
so we're 24 here, 25 in our sights. Looks good for CCIV. Can it hold the gains at the open is going to be the question of the day.
You're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right, Spence. I think that is the question of the day. Really, then the next question. Let's say we do hold that. All right. Let's just say that does happen. I think your next upside target here is going to be the 28 to 30 area. I don't think that's out of the question today, but let's actually see what happens when the market opens. This is another stock that we've talked about quite a bit on some of the other shows, Happy Hour included. I really like this. I don't know if it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said, oh, really?
Yeah, because I like the car, and maybe I'm just ignorant on the actual business so far, which is totally possible. I really like the car. I don't necessarily like the whole pipe deal that happened here at 15. I think that really kind of hit the SPAC sector, frankly. But that's neither here nor there. That's in the past. We can't change that. It looks like this has found a near-term bottom. It looks like this wants to go up. I'm definitely bullish on the EV cars as kind of a sector thing. And from what I've seen about the Lucid car, I actually really like this one. I think it looks better than the Tesla, frankly. I've never seen it in person, never sat in it. So there's still some more due diligence to do here, but I really like this car. I want to see this succeed. My bias for this stock is to the upside. So keep that in mind.
I'm trying to remember. What was Lucid the one that like they had like this the store the store went viral because it was the coolest store in the world. It was like in LA or something. Yeah.
RG said the Lucid Scottsdale showroom is opening soon. I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I think they had a showroom open in LA and it went viral because it was like the coolest thing in the world. Which the car does look pretty cool now that I'm looking at it. I don't really know much about it, but it looks very cool. I'm with you on that much.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. And so I want this to work just because of like my own bias towards the car. But we'll see. I do like seeing it pop above the what is this? Yesterday's after hours high and then yesterday's intraday high. Love that. So let's see how. I mean, look at that thing. Look at how nice that thing looks.
I mean, all right. Let's slow down though. All these cars look cool. I don't care if you're talking about Lucid, like the Lordstown car. Looks cool. Truck,
even
whatever that is.
What was it? The Badger, the Nikola Badger. I mean, we all know what
that looked cool too.
That looked cool. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. that. So that's not. You know what? That's a really good PSA, right? That's not necessarily a reason to buy a stock just because the car looks cool, but it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm watching this.
Okay. I am watching Comcast and Roku today, just because those are the two stocks with the most exposure to the Olympics. I'm expecting to see in the coming days or week some sort of data with regards to how Olympic viewership is tracking compared to prior years. I'm expecting it to be lower. The question is, does the market care about that? But Comcast obviously has the rights, and Roku has some partnership with Comcast to air a bunch of stuff. So I'm expecting a negative headline in the coming days and week, just regards to viewership alone. And I know that doesn't necessarily impact the bottom line because the ad inventory is already sold out. Nonetheless, those are two names that I am watching. And yes, there is still the possibility that the games, even though the ceremony is happening right now, they did say that a couple of days ago, we still could cancel the games. So as long as that's a possibility, I've got those two on my radar.
What were the two? I actually missed the tickers. What were those two?
Comcast and Roku. CMCSA.
Oh, right. Okay.
And Roku is Roku.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if there's any type of tradable event around this. I definitely want to catch some of this. I actually caught a bit of the rowing last night. I was just kind of flipping around because I actually didn't know when the opening ceremony was. And of course, because it's in Japan, it's really early in the morning here. I didn't even think about that last night, but I actually caught, it said it was live rowing. last night, and I remember thinking, I was like, wow, this is crazy. That's one of my favorite things about the Olympics is you watch sports that you don't watch regularly, and you really develop an appreciation for what these athletes are doing. Those rowers, Spencer. Oh my God, those guys were built like tanks. I couldn't believe it. I was like, all they're doing is rowing. But if you row, you know that is a physically draining exercise or sport. So it was pretty cool. That was the first I've seen of the Olympics this year. It was cool.
Yeah, I want to know what your favorite sport is in the chat. Favorite Summer Olympic sport. That's just
favorite Summer Olympics.
And Luke Jacoby reminded me of this. I completely forgot. But the Winter Olympics are in 6 months.
Yeah. So I prefer the Winter Olympics to the Summer Olympics. My favorite Summer Olympic sport. I'm kind of boring. I really do like soccer. I like European soccer during the year, so I'm definitely interested in that when the Olympics come around.
Okay.
I definitely want to catch some of the weightlifting this year. I'm just more into weightlifting and building now, so I kind of want to catch some of that. But otherwise, I just kind of want to explore. I know you asked about the Summer Olympics. From the Winter Olympics, hockey is obviously my favorite. I played hockey when I was younger. That goes without saying. But one of the other things that I really like was the combination of skiing and shooting that they have in the Winter Olympics.
Biathlon.
What is it called? Biathlon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. I watched that one time for the first time just because it was on, and I was like, this is so cool. These people are like cross country skiing and then lying prone and hitting targets and then getting up and skiing again. I was like, this is wild. So I'm gonna just kind of explore. I'm just gonna kind of explore and try to enjoy it this year. So we'll see.
All right. Let's bring on a third friend.
Yay!
Yeah. Let's get Junaid up in here. See what he's watching this morning, because we're all watching our own things. And so basically, Junaid, what's up, man?
What's going on, Junaid?
We're going to start doing this at least every Friday, maybe more. You're just getting some people up in Benzinga and hang out live with you through the open, and have everyone sort of do their own thing, right? And we can just sort of ping back and forth. And see what everyone's doing, see what they're trading, see what they're watching. So Ryan and I have been hanging out for the past 20 minutes. Junaid, what's on your radar? We haven't heard from you today.
Yeah. So anytime I trade, I'm always looking at what's happened the previous day, especially gap ups. So today I'm looking at Twitter, I'm looking at Facebook, I'm looking at Snapchat. I'm about to pull up my level so I can give you guys some of that. But that's pretty much what I'm watching. So I know what's happened. I know that the market likes it, and then I'll be looking at how the stock reacts the first 15 minutes, and then my power punch, if you will be any options that are coming in that I can see through the Benzinga platform. That way I know that, hey, smart money is going into it. Let me see if I can follow them on a good risk reward. And that's my alarm telling me to make sure I wake up.
Oh, I thought that was like a trading alarm.
No.
All right.
10 minutes before the open, I've been there. My man.
Hey, let's bring on a fourth friend here.
Yes,
why not, right?
Let's do it.
Money Mallard, what's up, man? That's where I left you last night. You're still there? Oh, you can't hear.
You can't hear us.
My audio, guys.
Yeah, wait.
Whoa, you sound great.
We hear you.
I can't either.
Okay, he can't hear us. All right. Okay. That was literally where I left him last night. He was doing a webinar in that exact spot. I don't think he left.
Yeah, Spencer, he's got to take that headphone and pull it out just a little so he can. That's what I had to do.
I will. I'll do it in a second. Junaid, I want to ask you though about Twitter and Snapchat, because Snapchat is holding its gains. Twitter is not holding its gains really today. So talk about that, and I'm going to go help Mallard.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the price target upgrades weren't that great, right? So you always have profit taking and things like that happen. That's something you can always expect because, again, Ryan, you know this as best as anybody. Just because they beat earnings, top, bottom line, doesn't mean it's going to hold up its gains, right? Guidance matters. So many other things matters. And if the stock has run up quite a bit before earnings, it's going to go ahead and fade a little bit as well. And you can see the bottom a few days ago was $65, and now the top was about 73, and that's it. That's in, I don't know if the percentage gain is there, but that's almost $10 in a matter of 4 days. So not too surprised by it, but again, let's see what the open is. For me, I'll be watching definitely the $70 level. Just for me, that's a psych level. Not as strong as 50, but that's definitely something that I'll keep an eye on. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and use our platform to set an alert to make sure I know. By the way, if anyone doesn't use alerts, I don't care what platform you use, you're missing out because there's no way you can keep an eye on all the stocks, the levels, and all of that. It's always nice when you set an alert and your phone gets a little bing.
Totally agree. Love
Right?
alerts. I want to do a shout out real quick to Trading Grounds in the chat. My favorite Olympic game is buying out of the money SNDL calls and waiting. That's what a great comment. My other favorite Olympic sport is waking up 10 minutes before the market open and developing a plan for the day. There's some hot sauce in the chat today. I absolutely love this. This is great.
So Trading Ground. Here's the thing. I love the troll, by the way. I'm always a fan. The thing is, last night. The reason I can wake up 10 minutes before is because I know last night I've prepped about, hey, what's happened? Here are my levels. So then I just wake up and I'm like, hey, I'm working remote. My breath can smell if it wants to be. Let me just make sure I've got my levels ready to go.
Let me just execute, right? If you have a plan, all you need to do is execute.
Exactly.
Can I interrupt with a couple things here? First of all, Money Mallard, good morning. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Okay. Second thing is, and this is in the chat already, GM just announced a recall. They're recalling a little over 68,000 Chevy Bolt electric vehicles due to some vehicles catching fire. Now, this is interesting, right? Because historically, recalls are not typically a tradable event. Every automaker does recalls. It happens all the time, right? At least for for normal, internal combustion engine vehicles. Every major manufacturer's had them. And I always wondered why. I used to ask Brent on our news desk, why do these stocks not move off recalls? And he was like, they just don't. Now, that being said, GM is, someone pull up a chart GM. Ryan, you have it up?
Yes.
Okay. So GM, you can see, is trading down. I think maybe we're in like a little bit of a new world order here where, in terms of the EVs, right? So, because everyone is all in on EVs, Europe's going all electric. All the European manufacturers are saying we're going to be all electric in 10 years, whatever, end of the decade, whatever. If you have to recall an EV, maybe that puts you behind the curve. Maybe that's what the market is saying. Because I was surprised at first to see GM dip on this. I guess I shouldn't be, because recalling EVs, which is basically the only thing that matters going forward, is a whole different thing than recalling a regular old, gas guzzling car.
Yeah.
That's at least my theory here.
There was a press release a little while back, and as soon as I saw that press release, it was something like, don't leave your car plugged in overnight inside a garage or something.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, really? You want to sell me an electric vehicle and then tell me not to plug it in because it might blow up? Sure, there's not going to be a recall on this. I don't have anything to worry about.
Absolutely love it. That's a good point. I mean, when else are you going to charge the car, right? I'm going to charge the car when I'm at home going to sleep. That's like the opportune time to charge it. And you're telling me not to do that? Forget about it. To your point, though, let's see what happens. Let's see what the market actually tells us about this, because it's possible this dip's not terrible. It's possible this gets bought throughout the day. So let's see where this is at the end. I agree with you, Spencer, though. I think maybe those recalls are going to have a little bit more weight on some of the electric vehicles. I think it's, kind of par for the course. Like you were saying, every company has them. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The recalls didn't really hurt Tesla all that bad, did they?
No. And someone who mentioned that in chat just now.
Theater got Tesla already. Okay. I'm going to give that credit to. I didn't see that, but
yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. It's a great point, though.
The difference is that they're already seen as the leader.
Yeah.
They're already seen as dependable,
Right.
Yeah. If you're running a race and you're up by 2 laps, if you go ahead and slack 10 seconds, it'll be all right.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Everyone's chasing the leader. So, and isn't this is not their first recall. This is not the Chevy Bolt first recall. I don't think.
No.
So I don't think so either.
Yeah. All right. What else are you all watching here this morning?
The level that I'm keeping an eye on, by the way, I know I mentioned Snapchat, is 74.50. You can see that pre-market, it tapped it and it went right back down. It did that earlier in the pre-market and it just did that about 3 minutes ago. So clearly that's going to be something for me to watch. So if I go long, it'll have to be above 74.50. Ideally, which
73.50.
Sorry, 74. My apologies. 74.50. My apologies.
Okay, so you're talking about the high then. Gotcha.
I'm talking about the pre-market high. Yeah. So if I go long, it'll be above that level, ideally with options coming in. Because my measly account won't move that. I need help.
Yeah, no, and you're watching this whole sector, right? Because Facebook was up after
Facebook, yeah. Facebook was great.
Yeah.
And by the way, so this is another thing. I know we've got a couple minutes. You can also assume that, hey, Twitter did well, Snapchat did well. That must mean Facebook did well. Now, again, that's a sentiment, which is why it went up, right? So you can also possibly, depending on your risk tolerance, pick out the levels on Facebook and go long Facebook. And you can, ride it before earnings, or you can hold on whatever your risk tolerance is. But yeah, sympathy plays for sure, and Facebook is definitely one of them.
Next week's going to be a big week. Facebook on Wednesday, Apple on Tuesday. It's going to be big.
And then we've got Amazon next week on Thursday. Yep.
So you have Apple, Facebook, Amazon 3 consecutive days. That's going to be big.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's what I'm looking at there. What do you? I came in a little late, but since we got a couple of minutes for the open, unless Spencer is about to say something else, Ryan, what are you looking at?
I actually am just looking at some of the possible day trades today. I actually had 3 names: SCKT, ALZN, and BBIG. BBIG, we broke an exclusive story this morning.
That's right. I saw that.
ALZN is an Alzheimer play. Next week is effectively Alzheimer week with a big data drop expected on Sava on Friday. And then SCKT just up almost or 150% right now on the backs of a really strong earnings report. So I think that these are going to be going to provide some opportunity today for some day trades. None of these stocks that I'm looking at am I looking to hold past the close today.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think we got that earnings. The breaking news out like 20 minutes before PR. You said
20 minutes prior to the PR. We actually had the news out. It's really awesome. Shout
out to Zoltan doing what he does best.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, Zoli for the win.
Back to back. We had another ticker, WISA back to back.
So, that's right. That was yesterday, wasn't it?
So it was actually the day before yesterday. We broke something on them, and then yesterday we broke it again.
Yep.
I had completely different news on the Amazon storefront, and then here we are with BBIG.
Yeah, amazing. You can expect that to continue. Our team is working hard every single day to bring these exclusives to you. So, real cool stuff. Now, as far as the ALZN, we're looking at ALZN here. Definitely looks like it stopped right here. So for me, this 768 level, this is going to be my tradable level. We pull down to this level and hold. This is a potential long right out of the open here for a scalp. I'm probably going to end up watching those and BBIG more so than any of the other tickers. SCKT just feels too extended to me. But I said that about Neuro, so take that for what it's worth.
I said that about Neuro too. Maybe not.
Where is it at? At 22? All right, 23ish.
Came back down, right?
Yeah.
But we covered it in a happy hour. On the 21st, the multiple upside halts, and then on that last halt, if you were watching it live, they literally couldn't hold the bid, and that thing flushed into the downside halt. When you see that type of action, be somewhere else. that is some dangerous stuff. I wouldn't even want to gamble on that. So that was an incredible morning.
What was the high on that? 40. Okay.
Yeah, 40. Went all the way up to 40. Looks like ALZN holding in here at that 768 recent low here. Looks like we're kind of curling up. We'll see.
All right, that's the bell.
Hey, there's our bell. Showtime.
Here we go.
Quick, everyone look busy. Act busy.
I'm literally looking left and right because my alerts are going off.
Same.
All right, let's see what's going on with Facebook, Twitter.
Don't really see any strong pushes here yet.
No, Facebook went ahead and broke 360 real quick.
CCIV leaking a little bit.
I'm sorry?
CCIV leaking.
CCIV, you said?
Yeah.
I could have sworn you said someone else was leaking, and I was like, what just happened live on air?
CCIV, little buy the dip action in the Chinese education stocks, and I'm being generous when I say a little, but slight loss this morning in EDU, TAL, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, on the scanner, we've got bounces on EDU, YMM, BEKE, TAL. All these stocks that were down a lot, and then they're bouncing back up.
It's not. It's probably not going to. It's a bounce to be sold, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Okay. What's up with WOOF? WOF? What was there news this morning that I didn't see? Nice green candle there at the open. I don't know if there's anything in WOOF. Petco? No, I don't see anything.
All right, just for folks keeping an eye, we do have options coming in on Facebook. This week's expiration, the 360s, they're paying about $2 for it. And then you're also seeing a sprinkle of next week's flying in right now, 380s. They're paying about $3.30. So just keep an eye on that. They got about 80 grand behind it. Or excuse me, the 380s have about 400 grand behind it. So
I'm sorry, who is this unit?
This is Facebook. Next week's 380 calls, they're paying about $3.20 with about $400,000 backing the play.
Okay.
I haven't quite entered it. I'm waiting to see what Facebook does. It's kind of trying to decide if it wants to go above 361 or not. But definitely, that's what I'm keeping an eye on right now. As Twitter takes a flush.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at that. That's a red adult toy, as someone would say. I'm not sure what we're allowed to say, so I'm gonna go with that.
ALZN too, the stock that I was watching, just huge flush out the gate. Took out that 760 level, 768, just in a hurry. Didn't even stop, just went right through it, all the way down here at 714. Our pivot point for today is 706. 706. Okay, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce here. I am not in this. I did not get any type of buy signal. I'm still kind of watching it, but we really, really just kind of blew through some of those supports. Looks like we're going to try to reclaim that level now. Will be interesting to see if he can build above 760 for a move back towards the 8 handle. We'll see. No position yet.
Snapchat doing its thing right out the open.
I'm looking at retail here. DKS for some reason is trading higher this morning. Really, so is Foot Locker for that matter. I mean, the whole sector is. I don't know why. Unless there's a rating that I missed.
Yeah. Just to update folks, you had Facebook take a flush, you had Twitter take a flush, but Snap on the other hand has been strong. It did break out of that 74.50 level that we mentioned pre-market, and it hasn't looked back since. Matter of fact, it's up 77. It's up. The price action's up to $77.30.
Yeah, good call out. Facebook not holding, Twitter not holding. So interesting. So interesting how that divergence happens. Let's look at Snap. Let's zoom out on the Snap. Let's go to like a daily chart on the Snapchat. A longer term perspective here. Wow. Look at that thing. It looks like it doesn't belong. Today's candle.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It doesn't belong on the chart.
Just so folks are aware, I do have an alert set to buy Facebook at 357. My stop loss will be 355.50. So I'm risking $1.50, and I'm looking for it to get back to about 362. So just a heads up on that. I have a buy set on Facebook at the 357 level. I missed it by 35 cents. So that's going to hurt me if it goes right back up. But
long ALZN here. Long ALZN through 760. Come on, we just need to keep pushing here.
What do you think your stop loss is going to be on that?
I'm going to keep it tight, about 755. I want to see
it.
if we can actually push above this level here. I want it to build. Looks like it's trying. Unsure if it's going to be able to hold that in, though. There we go. Here we go.
Oh, nice
Here we
call,
go.
baby. Nice
Let's
call.
go,
Nice
baby.
call.
That's done. Bang.
Go. Woo!
Bang.
Nice job.
You just did that live, my guy.
So,
Yes, sir.
what's the deal now? Is lunch on you or what?
What?
Lunch is
up,
lunch is on me. Anyone that shows up anywhere near my place in Chicago, I got the best burger place around. Lunch on me. Get on that train.
I didn't want to work today anyways, Ryan. I'm on my way. Happy Friday.
Let's go.
Happy Friday, folks.
Great call. I'd love to hear towards the end after we get a little unbusy what you saw there. That was great, man. Because that was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, we can go over it. If you guys see anything that starts spiking, just interrupt me. I'll be quiet. Basically, what I saw here is, I'm looking for it to pull into the level. It completely obliterated the level that I had marked on the first way down. It actually bounced quite hard around the 710 area, and once that started to happen, I was like, there still seems to be some buying interest in here. So I watched it kind of grind back up through some of these levels, and then as soon as it took out 768, I actually saw volume pops. So I'm actually watching the time and sales and how big some of those lots are. And instead of the 100, 50, 400, 300, all of a sudden 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 shares are coming in. I want to ride that wave. I think that's buying momentum. I know it's around a level that I've identified. So I wanted to try to play that. Once it actually held a little bit above that, that's what I mean by build, right? You have a little bit of buys and sells kind of going above that level. That's great because it's less likely to immediately break down through that level. The next move we got was a pop up. I was out on that pop. Now, I was out, I think, at like 780. And we popped to like almost 790, maybe even 790. So there was an extra 10 cents in there that I didn't get. But you know what? I'm happy with that. My plan here was for a scalp. I'm in, I'm out. That's it. Look for
I love what you just said there. Your plan was for a scalp, and that's exactly what you did. Because I want everyone to take a look at where the stock is right now. It's at 740, right? And this is very important because you want to continue hitting those singles and those base hits, right? Not everything's going to be a home run like a NURO or anything else that's gone crazy and wild like AMC and GME, right? So it's important to get those quick moves, especially if that's your plan, because if you stay in there for a home run, guess what? Now you're in the red. You're in the red.
Exactly. And this is also why leading into this trade, I didn't have a limit order at this level that I identified. All right. If I knew, or if I really thought that it was definitely going to stop at that level, perhaps I would put that in. But that wasn't part of it. My trade plan was to see if it held that level. Once it didn't hold that level, it's now on me to figure out what the next course of action is. And because I didn't have a limit order, I didn't get filled on the way down. So now I'm not playing catch up. I'm literally looking for the next spot to buy. We found it based on the price action. We took advantage of it. We moved on.
I love it, dude. Great trade. Great. Did anyone in the chat follow that? I need to know.
That one was pretty quick, honestly.
It was pretty quick. You're right. And they might be on a 3-4 second delay.
Yeah, and I also gave them a level that got torched. So
that's fair.
I'm just hoping that nobody actually took that on the way down, because again, the trade plan was to watch and see if it holds. That's important, and it didn't do that on the way down. So again, this is and when we were talking earlier about some of these names, we said flat out there is absolutely no way we are holding these into the close or over the weekend. Absolutely no way. That was never a part of it. So
I had mentioned that I was taking a look at Facebook and I was going to buy it at 357. The price, the low of day looks like to be 357.35. So I missed that trade by 35 cents, and now it's all the way up to almost 360. So that one's a little painful, but I will say it's testing VWAP and it's looking to get above 360. If it does get above 360 and it comes back to test it, I will go long through some options as a lotto play. I might grab the 365 or the 362. Just depends on how it behaves. Again, have not gotten in. I'm waiting for it to break 360, come back to test it, and then looking for it to go as confirmation. So keep an eye out on that. And Snapchat's just been great. I think it hit all-time highs a few minutes earlier.
This thing's a monster, man. This thing is an absolute monster. Congrats to everyone that actually held calls through this print, because you're banking today. This is up another 3 points off the pre-market highs here. So just an absolute monster. Snap has really been crushing it.
Imagine grabbing Snapchat at $6 like it was 2 years ago.
Oh, I actually, one of the guys that I follow, he's been trading Snap. He hasn't been holding it since 6. He's been in and out of it quite a bit, but he has been on that since it was single digits. And you know what? I remember when he first started talking about Snapchat, you know how he was coming up with his trading plans?
Yeah.
What were his kids using?
Makes sense.
That's how I figured it out.
Total sense.
ALZN in the 6s now. I'm hearing from WK Harris in the chat. Looks like it's trying to hold on to that 7 handle. Interestingly enough, remember, this is the pivot point, right? So I actually use Person's pivots as a study in my broker. This is the pivot point right here. So you might find some support here. Might get another bounce here. To be honest with you, I'm looking for another one. If this sets up later, that's fine. I need to see volume for that to happen. All I see right now are big red volume sticks. Got to see that sentiment change before we're looking for another long side play.
Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Just what stuck out to me yesterday about Snap was the 23% year-over-year growth on daily active users.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, 23%. And you know, just thinking about how Benzinga got started as a company, how we make our money, it was like, just get the eyeballs, get the people involved, and money follows. You know,
Yeah.
Good point, Jonathan. Really good point.
So those user numbers are what really impressed me.
Absolutely.
No, really good point. And all-time
me,
highs here. Blue sky breakout above that 74.50 level. I'm sorry, Zanet, I ran you.
You're totally fine. Do me a favor. Could you pull up Snapchat? Excuse me, Facebook real quick since you're sharing. So I had mentioned, hey, if it breaks 360 and tests, I'm going to go back in. Here's why you don't front run, because look what happened, right? It tried to test that 360 and then right on down, it went down about $1, $2. So this is why you kind of wait for that confirmation, because if you went ahead and got options, especially with it being expiration day,
Yes, sir.
you probably would have been down 35, 40% already. So this is why it's very important to follow your plan, wait for the confirmation, and don't try to steal first base, because you're going to get called out more often than not.
Don't try to steal first base. Love that. Absolutely love that. And you know what, Zanet? That's actually a very similar thought process to what I had on the scalp trade. It's just in the other direction. I wanted to wait for confirmation that area around 768 held. There was no confirmation. That thing got obliterated. And it's the exact same thing here with 360, right? We tried to test that. We got rejected. But because we're patient, we're going to wait for a better entry.
Now, with the move being so quick, I can only assume that you're using limit orders, right? Because you know the area you want in. So you're using a limit order to set it, and then you're setting a limit order to sell.
I'm using a limit order to buy. When I sell, I will often use a market order. A lot of that depends on how many shares, right? If you're just doing 1, 2, 3,000 shares, market order is going to be fine. If you're the type of person that's trading 10, 15,000 shares, depending on how liquid that stock is, you dump that at market, you might have actually a spread on some of your sells. That wasn't the case. I mean, you know, when I'm scalping like this, I'm keeping myself protected, because I've been in scalps before. Looks like Facebook coming back up towards that 360. We'll keep an eye on it here.
Yeah.
I've done scalps before where that thing just moves fast and the rug just gets pulled, and all of a sudden you're down.
Absolutely.
So that happens. That's part of the game. So,
but let's all go around and answer this question from Benjamin.
Okay.
Which broker are we using?
TD Ameritrade.
I am using E-Trade. I'm using the E-Trade Pro platform.
I'm also using TD Ameritrade.
I use Fidelity and Webull for day trades.
I love that we have a diverse group there. We were actually just talking about Webull the other day.
Yeah.
So
I will say I have funded a little bit, and I haven't exactly done it, but I'm looking to do Trade Zero as well. I know Jason's got a good relationship with their CEO. I know that's a very well-known platform, especially because it has that direct access. So that's definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on. But no, E-Trade is what I've used since college, and that's just what I know.
And I think that's the takeaway, right? Is like everyone always asks, like, "Oh, which broker should I use?" At the end of the day, it probably doesn't really matter. It's like whatever you're used to. Pick one that you've heard of.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's generally the advice I give to people when they ask me. Pick one that you've heard of. If you've seen a commercial, it's probably like a good sign if they have enough money to advertise. They all have bells and whistles, some advantages, disadvantages. There is no perfect solution for everybody.
Yeah.
The perfect one is the one that you know. And what you said it. You use E-Trade because that's what you've used.
That's what I've known. Yeah.
I use Fidelity because that's what I know. Right? There's really no other reason.
Yeah.
It's what you know. So
Spencer, to your point there, use what you know. I think that's actually super smart advice, right? Because a lot of these brokers are going to do the same thing. Everyone trades a little bit differently. Get familiar with something so that you can focus on repeating your process and your plan. The more comfortable you are with that, oftentimes the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah.
And one more little tip that I give out about brokers. I know a lot of people complain when brokers go down or they lag, and I'm a Thinkorswim user. There was plenty of times this year where it was lagging at the open, orders were lagging. That's also part of the game, folks. And if you really want to make sure that you never go down, there's only one solution. There's no one broker out there that's never going to go down. Stuff goes down. That's just the world that we live in. Get used to it. If you want to protect yourself, have multiple brokers. That's how you can ensure, or maybe not ensure, but increase the odds that you're going to be up and ready to trade. Now, that's not feasible for some people that might not have enough money to split. I don't have two brokers. I use one. If things aren't working, I wait out the storm, right? I'm not trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. Recipe for disaster.
Yep. Two things I wanted to quickly call out here. You've got Twitter bouncing off of WeWap. Keep an eye on that. Definitely interested to see how that behaves there. And also, someone asked in the chat, Webull lets you trade at 4 a.m. Do any of the others? I can speak on behalf of E-Trade and say no. Pre-market opens up at 7 a.m. Trade 0, 4 a.m. You can go ahead and trade.
What was I about to say? Oh, shoot. What was I about to say? Oh, yeah, Ryan, if you need me to go bust some heads, the Thinkorswim dev team is all over in Ann Arbor. So Mallard and I can head over there and bust some heads for you if you want. But also, I might have
to take the train in and meet you fellas.
Right. the other side is no, I'm kidding. Obviously I'm kidding. I don't like to say that.
Me too.
A day like yesterday, right? When you have Akamai, which is sort of like the pipes of the internet. They have a server.
Sorry to interrupt. Facebook through 360 here.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
You get days like yesterday when Akamai has some service interruptions. You get like Schwab and Fidelity and TD Ameritrade, I think, maybe not TD. Several brokers had outages at the same time, which is sort of, at that point you got to just throw your hands up and say, okay, today's not a good day. But yeah, okay. Does Benzinga offer any education on day trading? Santiago Puentes is asking. Well, I hope that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so this is a really good question. Jonathan and I are big on the education part of this. We're very big on this, and I can say that I try to provide education anytime that I'm live on anything that's sponsored by Benzinga or run by Benzinga. I'm always trying to educate people. I've also tried to do this with my webinar series. A lot of the people that I've interviewed are day traders or day traders and swing traders, and I try to get them to go over lessons and things that they use to remain consistent. So we don't, I mean, Jonathan, please correct me if I'm wrong here. We don't yet have an actual like school curriculum taking you from newbie to quote unquote pro trader, but we absolutely have loads of content for traders of all different skill levels to try and help you advance your career.
Yeah, I would just say stay tuned for a potential trading school. In addition to, I mean, you guys probably know about the boot camps that we've done, just 1 day type deals. But I would expect something more formal. With a potential trading school. I don't know if that's public knowledge yet, but stay tuned there. And then also within Benzinga Pro, we also have Nick Shaheen, who's an excellent options trader, but he's also giving directional trades and answering questions, doing hundreds of charts a month within the inner circle chat on Benzinga Pro. So he's kind of like our resident full-time trader that can answer questions on any ticker for those who are Benzinga Pro subscribers. So that's where we're at right now. We have a lot of growth plans up our sleeves, but be sure to check out the boot camp.
Yeah.
BenzingaBootcamp.com to sign up. It's tomorrow. So it says it right there. Tomorrow, 9 to 5.
I love it.
Perfect timing.
Yep. And also,
by the way, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So Facebook broke that level that we talked about. Ryan called it out as well. Now it's at 361.65. So you can see how it broke it. It tested that 360 and it went right back up. It did not go below WeWap. So right there, I'm getting in on that retest at 360. And what's my stop loss? It's going to be right below VWAP. What is that dollar amount? I would say about 359.30. You can see if it bounces off of 359 or not. For me, I love to play the whole numbers, right? So 359, especially 360s, anything that ends in like a zero, especially $50, $100, $200. I'm a fan of that quick bounce. I'll scalp that thing for 70 cents. And if you have 300-400 shares even, dude, that you're looking at, $200, $300. And again, risk is important though, because if that level doesn't stay and you try to bag hold, look out below. I do see we're gonna hit some resistance around the 362.32 area. So wouldn't be surprised if we again may test that 360 level. But let's see what happens here.
And real quick here, just a quick check-in on ALZ, and I'm going to go back to Facebook since that trade is still good. You can see here that we definitely tried to hold that pivot, right? We tried to bounce off of it, couldn't really do it. We're testing it again. We're beneath it by a few cents here, but there's still a battle. You can see these wicks here. We haven't really given this up completely yet, so kind of watching this here. I don't know that this is really going to provide another opportunity later in the day. It would really have to kind of turn around and have some volume flow in here, but we are still holding that 7.
Yeah. You can see that volume declining there as well.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I tried to get in and out. And it looks like a little bit different story here in Facebook, right? Looks like the volume is slowly kind of picking up here above that 360 level you identified.
All right. Roman has been asking about the trade desk, and I'm sorry for not thinking of this one earlier, Roman. It seems obvious now in hindsight. So with the strength of Snapchat and Twitter, and Facebook, what those companies are really saying is that the digital ad market is strong. So companies like the Trade Desk, but if you think you missed it, go PUBM. PubMatic is only up 3% today, as opposed to the Trade Desk being up almost 10% today. But the whole sector, and again, I'm sorry for not thinking of this a couple hours ago, but the whole sector, in theory at least, should be higher if companies like Snapchat and Twitter are saying, yes, the digital advertising market is strong, brands are spending money with us. Then in theory, the companies that handle the programmatic advertising side of the industry, like the advertising tech, which are the Trade Desk and PubMatic, in theory, they should be higher as well. So watching PUBM and the Trade Desk, which is just made a new high of the day.
Don't worry, guys. You guys can send me a Venmo later.
Mitch from the rafters.
Well, Mitch was on PubMatic like a year ago, I think.
I wasn't on PubMatic. I was on programmatic advertisement.
Well, that's what
I was on.
That's what PubMatic is.
But you know how I like to go. I like to go backwards. So PubMatic just fell into the. I don't try to get in love with the names. I try to get in love with the industries.
Okay,
you get what I mean?
That's how I look at it too.
Right now, I'll give you a name that most people wouldn't know in that industry. DMS, Digital Media Solutions, a D-SPAC that has been getting pounded on. So, of course, don't go crazy, guys, because it's a D-SPAC, company that has been battling. But it went on up there towards around like 12s, and they do exactly this solution.
I don't know this one. All right. There you go.
I hadn't heard of that one either. Thanks, Mitch, for putting that one on the radar. Let's look at Domino's Pizza. Someone in the chat wants to see Domino's Pizza. Huge day yesterday. What happened yesterday, folks?
Earnings is what happened.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep. And then a downgrade. That's awesome. JP Morgan downgrading it.
Yeah, but are they going to neutral?
Yeah, they went to neutral, 530 price target. Okay. And that's pretty much right where we're at. So I guess that's not bad.
We mentioned that level of, what was it? 362, 30-ish. I think Facebook went ahead and bounced off of 362.15. So again, it's important to always look left, like we often forget to do. Look at the levels. Look at where sellers came in last time. So if you went ahead and took that bounce that we mentioned off of the breakout VWAP and the retest of 360, you could have gone from 360 to a high of 362.22. So that's about $2 of profit, and your stop loss would have been about 50 cents. Let's just say even if it was $1, that's a 2-to-1 trade. You want to always look for that great risk reward and make that happen. So now what am I looking at? I'm looking for that test. If it does go back down to WEWAP, I will go ahead and grab it around 360.40 cents. And then my stop loss will be 359.50. Below that, I'm out. So my risk will be about 70 cents, and I'm looking to have it retest to 362.50 for anyone else that still wants to play. That's how I played it again. I'll keep an eye on options and see how it goes.
All right, it's 9:55. In 5 minutes, I'm going to say goodbye to all my friends here, and I'm going to say hello to Tom Jensen, the CEO of FREYR Battery, just as a public service announcement or as a programming note. So stay tuned for that interview at 10 o'clock. We're going to be talking all about battery cells in Norway. because that's where they're based out of. So
nice.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah, we should all have some international exposure, global diversification. There's more to the markets than just the U.S. I don't know if we say I spent the morning, being skeptical of China, so I feel the need now to overcompensate for that by saying there is more to life, there is more to markets than just what's happening in the United States.
I love it.
Even if you're perennially bearish China like me, there's other stuff beyond our borders. So I'll be on with Tom Jensen in 5 minutes. That being said, though, let's go around the room here, Jonathan, Ryan, and Zunaid, and get some closing thoughts or setups if we can.
All right, I'm going to give you a real quick closing thought. I'm just going to kind of review two of the other tickers that we didn't trade, right? So, SCKT said this was a little too extended, up quite a bit. We're going to watch it, but not a top target here. You can see why, right? We're definitely getting some of this pullback. Interestingly, this might be the one to watch for a trade setup later in the day. Take a look for that forming a base or some type of intraday support, and then look for that expanding volume to tell you that the trade is actually on. And then also really quickly want to check in on BBI. This is, we broke that exclusive content. As soon as the market opened, as soon as volume poured in, this thing really kind of traded back down. You can see it definitely observed these levels, right? So if I zoom in right here, we actually got the play that we were hoping for. We pulled back to 388, bounced off 388 back through 4. Should have taken some of your gains right there, but it was just been a waterfall ever since that. So, as far as a setup here, I need to see a reclaim of 346 and then a build above with expanding volume in order for this to be on.
Let me read this comment from the real life of Ashley Ann Rogers. This morning when I was watching your show, I was like, I wish that we would talk about Facebook. And to my surprise, after the morning show, you guys brought on 3 traders that are talking my trades. That's because we're in your head, Ashley Rogers. That's why that happened.
Absolutely. We know what's going on. It's the age of the internet. I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts here. Yeah. Keeping an eye on Facebook again, that 360 level, 360.50 is where I'm going to be in. 359.50 is where I'm going to be out with a profit target of 362.50. And a psychological note, hey, it's okay to be wrong. Let's go ahead and cut those losses quick. And you can always get back in the trade. It's totally fine to get back in the trade. No one's going to stop you. But you will wish you bought at a lower price if you keep on bag holding, or you wish you sold, I guess. So it's okay to be wrong. You'll be fine. Cut your losses.
It's okay to be wrong, not okay to stay wrong, right?
I love it. There you go. Good.
Okay.
I like that. Great. Yeah.
I didn't make that up, just so we're clear.
That's okay. We'll give you credit. Great job, Spencer. Spencer's who came up with it, guys. Don't quote Spencer on it.
Hall of Fame right there for Spencer.
Jonathan Mallard, any final thoughts?
All I gotta say is keep an eye out for more exclusives. Our team is always leading that team, so keep an eye out for the exclusives from the news desk, and we'll keep grinding for you.
All right, Ryan Faluna, Jonathan Mallard, and Junaid Suleiman. I got that right?
You nailed it.
I nailed it. It's just like the guy who used to play college basketball at Duke, right? Suleiman. Anyway,
there you go.
All right, guys. As I said at the top of the hour, we're going to be doing this at least every Friday. Maybe probably more down the road, but for the moment, every Friday, just the 4 of us, any combination of the 4 of us, hanging out through the open, doing exactly what we just did. And I had a lot of fun, and I know you guys did.
Oh yeah.
And so thanks a lot for hanging out with me here. And good luck with the rest of your day. And Ryan, I'm expecting to see lunch coming from you in a few hours with your newfound riches.
So I guess I gotta go catch a train.
You gotta catch a train to Ryan. Portillo's on Ryan today. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Pleasure, guys.
Talk to you again.
Take care. Have a great weekend, folks.
All right. There's Zunaid, Suleiman, Ryan Faluna, and Jonathan Mallard joining me here. By the way, those guys are like, it's not the only time in the week where you can see them. Ryan and Jonathan are doing webinars all the time if you're in Benzinga Pro. So again, pro.benzinga.com. Check it out. Free 2-week trial. Okay. It is 10 o'clock just about. So let me bring on my next guest here, Tom Jensen, the CEO of FREYR Battery. FREY is the ticker. Tom, I don't know where in the world you are, so good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are right now.
Hi, Spencer. Pleasure to be on. I'm calling you from Oslo, Norway, and it's a pleasure to be here. Good to see you, Spencer.
Tell us about FREYR and the company and prospects for growth.
Okay, so Spencer, this is a very simple sort of concept, but of course hard to do. And the concept is really that the energy transition is upon us. And the energy transition really means that we need to move from a predominantly fossil-based fuel system to a renewable energy system. And batteries play an increasingly important role in that, not only for electric vehicles, which is commonplace knowledge for most people, but it's increasingly important also to decarbonize the energy systems globally. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail, but let me just give you a little bit of a background note as to sort of why we're doing what we're doing and the context in which we're doing it. So I've been working on scaling disruptive innovation for more than 10 years in the sustainability space in general. And about 5 years ago, I found myself walking around at Schiphol Airport feeling a little bit sorry for myself because I had an uppercut in a previous job. And it sort of dawned upon me the question that I know that I will be getting from my children 10, 15 years from now. And the question is, did you know? And did you know about climate change? Did you know what it's going to do about what, the lives that we're living and so on? And what did you do about it? And I really do think the energy transition and moving away from a fossil-based system into a renewable-based system is really what is at the forefront of that. And batteries, Spencer, is the core solution to that for the next 10 years, at least. There is nothing else that compares. If the US, if the European Union, if Norway, if other countries around the world are going to stay within the agreements that they made in the Paris Agreement, we need to cut CO2 emissions in half by 2030. And that is such a daunting challenge that if we don't urgently decarbonize transportation and urgently decarbonize energy systems globally, we will not get there. So FREYR battery was formed and born about 3 years ago with the idea that producing decarbonized batteries, i.e. batteries with as low CO2 footprint as possible, is a core solution into that challenge. So we really wanted to leverage what Norway has to offer. And for those of you who don't know Norway that much, Norway is a country that has over a century of experience in developing energy intensive and process intensive solutions. Our energy system is close to 100% renewable and hydropower based. So what we are going to do in the next 5 years is we're going to build 5 gigafactories of decarbonized batteries in Norway for EV application and for energy system storage application. And in addition to that, we have recently entered into a process with a large US multinational to replicate what we're doing in Norway also in the United States. So we have an ambition to be a global champion in the battery cell manufacturing space. We want to do that using a fully renewable footprint. We want to decarbonize the batteries by 80% or more relative to how batteries are produced today. The market backdrop is fundamentally extremely solid. Demand is going through the roof. Every time we talk to our customers, they increase their demand projections. So it's a fundamentally very strong market to be in. We think producing batteries in Norway with the availability of 100% renewable, low-cost energy in a business which is fundamentally energy intensive is something that, is a really strong proposition. So that's FREYR in a nutshell, Spencer.
Let's talk about some of those other those energy storage applications. I think we all know about the EVs, right, and the opportunity there. But as far as the other applications, let's go into more detail about that if you can.
Sure. So, in its simplest way, right, the sun shines when it shines, and that's typically 12 hours a day or less. And what do you do when it doesn't shine? So you put part of that solar energy into batteries. And today, combining best available solar deployment or best available solar projects with best available lithium-ion battery solutions is actually competitive with fossil fuel generation. The same with wind. The wind blows when it blows. And what do you do when it doesn't blow? Then you use wind energy stored in battery solutions. And the good news is that we can do both, and we are targeting to do both. We will be producing batteries based on actually a US-based technology company, 24M, out of MIT, which is a 10-year plus technology startup company that comes out of the US in our opinion, probably the main disruption which have come to the lithium-ion battery space since it was introduced 30 years ago. And that technology is extremely suitable for energy storage applications. And why is this important from a US point of view? Because the main market for energy system storage applications is going to be in the US. You need to go from a predominantly fossil-based energy generation system to a predominantly renewable energy-based system. And that's going to put a lot of strain on your grids and your power sort of systems in the various states. And batteries can actually come in and ensure that you avoid blackouts and etc. And you can do that cost competitively as opposed to relying on coal and gas peaker plants, etc.
So this all sounds great. If you can indulge me for a second, Tom, and play devil's advocate here, what would have to happen or not have to happen for any of these plans to sort of not get there? So, like, what is standing in your way right now? What are the biggest challenges to success? Because you just outlined a pretty rosy picture, a long-term rosy picture, but obviously we don't know that can happen yet. So what are the biggest hurdles that are in your way, and what would have to happen or not happen for this scenario to not, be reality?
So I think it's a great question, Spencer. So I think the market side, we don't see a lot of challenges on the market side because demand projections and specific demand dialogues that we're having with customers is very strong. Everyone wants decarbonized low-cost batteries. And in fact, most of our customers are now mostly looking at the decarbonization aspect of the battery production itself, as opposed to the technical merit, if you like, of the batteries. You have to, of course, be cutting edge when it comes to energy density, cycle life, and cost. And the technology that we have chosen, which we will take to scale in Norway, delivers on all of that and more. And by the way, our solution is probably 20% or more cost competitive than conventional lithium-ion batteries. So, but I think the core challenge that any battery producer will be facing is to be able to take these large projects to scale in an efficient manner and operate them excellently. So what we have done in this regard, and this is the biggest challenge, is that we have put together a team of Norwegian project execution experts. We put together a team of Norwegian operational excellence-centric people who have been working in the Norwegian process industry, which is a highly energy-intensive industry, which knows how to have extremely high uptime in production, high yield in production, and also low scrap rates in production, all of which is fundamentally important to be successful in the battery space. So in short, what we're trying to do to meet these challenges that you're rightfully pointing out, Spencer, is to actually take the best of what Norway has to offer, which is, of course, abundant, renewable, low-cost energy in an energy-intensive industry. We're then building batteries at scale in this location, and we're leveraging the century-long experience that Norway has in building energy-intensive and process-intensive industries. And we've put together the best, let's say, brains and experience in Norway. And then we've coupled that with battery experts from Japan, Korea, and China. And that combination with that backdrop, we believe, is a very solid response to the challenges that any battery company will face. But I agree with you, this is going to be hard. We need to get up early in the morning and we need to sort of work every day to sort of deliver on our promises. And now, as you might know, we listed on the New York Stock Exchange just a couple of weeks ago, a momentous moment for me personally, when I was actually up on the balcony pressing the green button. But to actually have access to that amount of capital in the most sophisticated capital market in the world, and the largest one, I might add, is fundamentally important because this is a big numbers game. You need to play big to be successful. You need to have economies of scale to be successful. Our sort of three tenets, Spencer, in our strategy is, again, reasonably simple. It's speed, scale, and sustainability. We need to move fast to be relevant for our customers. We need to go big to have economies of scale in our production. And it all needs to be based on a sustainable solution, because ultimately, the batteries are meant to accelerate the decarbonization of transportation and energy systems globally. So it all coming together in a way, and we feel extremely excited about where we are now, and we look forward to the future.
Since you brought it up, why go public via the SPAC route? And did you consider other avenues? And tell us more about how you came to that decision.
Yeah, so Spencer, it's back to what I said about speed, scale, and sustainability. Because you need to be relevant in this market for your customers quite fast. And to be relevant, you also need to have an offering that is cost competitive. And a big part of being cost competitive is to build that scale. Now, if you want to build that scale in the battery business, you need to have large pockets of capital. So when we started discussing with Alusa Energy back in August of last year, it was a very interesting and intriguing proposition for us. It meant that we could get access to the largest capital market in the world. We could get access to large pockets of capital fast. And all of that, combined with the Norwegian position, gave us a very strong, let's say, starting point for delivering on our promises. And we could even extend our promises beyond what we had originally envisaged by actually getting access to that capital market. So that's kind of why we did it. It was a fast way to get large pockets of capital at what we believed was a fair valuation at the time. And you know, we plowed into it, so to speak, and were able to sort of dive through all of the different issues that we needed to. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the flag up on the New York Stock Exchange, and now we're trading. So we're very happy with all the investors we've gotten on board, and this is just the start.
So prior to being approached by Alusa Energy, was going public in the U.S., was that in the cards? Was that in the plans at all, or had you not thought about that?
So in all honesty, we were originally thinking about going public in a stepwise approach on the various Norwegian markets. Mm-hmm. But again, we saw here a real opportunity to go bigger, faster, which really sort of spoke very well to us in terms of our strategic sort of beliefs. So we were super excited about it, and this has proven to be a very viable strategy for us. We've gotten a lot of strategic investors on board, a lot of very strong financial investors on board, a lot of sort of discussions with, you know, suppliers and partners and joint venture partners in the US and beyond. So far, this has been an absolute right decision, and we're super excited about it. It places a lot of, let's say, demands on us that we wouldn't otherwise have had. But I think this is a good thing. If we want to be, you know, a global champion in the battery cell manufacturing space, we better be able to adhere to the requirements that is placed upon us by the New York Stock Exchange. So again, I think it's all good.
You've already kind of talked about it, but if you can a little bit more, can you explain why exactly Norway is so big in the renewable energy front?
Yeah, so as you might know, Norway is big on energy, right? So we are one of the largest oil and gas producers in the world. So we have deep project execution expertise, and that's kind of where we're tapping our project execution expertise from, by the way, in very harsh environments. And we've been able to sort of operate very complicated facilities in the harshest environments in the world for decades. But prior to that, which is maybe less known to many, that Norway has developed Europe's largest hydropower basis, right? So we're often referred to as the battery of Europe. So we have a 150 terawatt hour installed capacity annually of hydropower. We have about 10 to 20 terawatt hours of surplus capacity annually, which means that we can establish large energy intensive industries in Norway based on renewable energy. And given that Norway is, or used to be at least, somewhat of a power island, the cost of that energy is also the lowest in Europe. And therefore, it's one of the lowest cost bases for battery cell production globally. And if you think about the cost structure of producing batteries, energy as a fraction of total cost of producing a battery cell can be as much as 40 to 50%. So if you then have access to surplus energy, which is half the price of the global average or less, then you're having a very strong starting point. On top of this, Norway and the Nordic region also has a broad variety of minerals and critical input factors that you need into battery cell production. So over time and in the near future, we could also envisage to have all of the raw material supply coming out of the Nordic region. And the final point I'd like to make on this, Spencer, if I may, is Norway started the adoption of electric vehicles ahead of everyone else. More than 10 years ago, we started adopting electric vehicles. And today, 90% of all cars sold in Norway are electric in some way. So that means that we understand what happens to a society when you really deploy electric solutions at scale. And that also gives us, we think, an edge in how we're thinking about approaching these subjects.
All right, Tom, I got to ask you about raw materials here. We're seeing a lot of weird things happen in the raw materials market, many different markets around the world. How are those input costs factoring into you right now? How are you feeling that?
Well, so this is a raw materials game. 70%, give or take, of the cost structure of producing batteries come from raw materials. And as you know, it's lithium hydroxide, it's cobalt, it's manganese, it's nickel, it's graphite. It's a number of different elements that go in, depending a little bit on what battery you produce. Now, we are going to produce lithium iron phosphate batteries and nickel manganese cobalt oxide batteries, so LFP and NMC batteries for those who are sort of well versed in this. And what we are seeing, again, back to the advantages of Norway, is that all of the producers of these materials, be it miners and or processors of these metals, they want to come to Norway and partner with FREYR to capitalize on the low-cost renewable energy, because all of these processes are also energy intensive. And therefore, to process them, you would benefit from doing it not only in an area where energy prices are low and green, which in a world that is placing an increasing price on carbon will be an interesting place to be, but this is also the hub in Europe where a lot of capacity will be established. So you will both have, as a raw material producer or as an input provider to the battery cell producers as us, you will not only have the cost advantages of being localized in the country with low cost renewable energy, but you'll also be close to customers who will be taking a large part of the volumes that you produce. So we have about 30 different dialogues ongoing in this space, including with all of the big recycling players. So we're very confident about securing a decarbonized and low-cost supply chain. And for the immediate sort of development of our facilities, and we've made the first investment decision on our first facility earlier this week, which we made public, we've already secured the raw material supply to those. So as we then over time build out more and more facilities, and we're going to build 5 initially by 2025 in Norway, we will localize that supply chain with world-leading providers of raw material supply. So
you've already secured the supply for the first facility, but that being said, prices are going up, and surely you will feel that at some point if you haven't already.
Well, so raw material prices have been spiking as over the recent months. That's true, but then you need to look at the structure of the industry, and the structure of the industry is such that many of the large automotive customers, for instance, they ask you to quote a price for the battery cells that you produce based on a given set of raw material prices. And then for many of these raw material prices, they take on the price risk because they want to ensure that you actually use raw materials from a particular raw material provider. And they want you as a battery cell producer to focus on the conversion part of the business and not necessarily the raw material part of the business. So in our opinion, temporary bottlenecks in raw material supply leading to price hikes in raw material input is something that the battery cell producers are managing through their relationship with their customers. And our offtake agreements with various customers factor in this challenge. We can take upon that price risk ourselves, but then the pricing mechanism vis-a-vis our customers reflect that volatility. And if we have a more fixed pricing arrangement with larger customers, then our larger customers take on that volatility in the raw material prices. So
I did not know that. I did
Well-
not know that. So okay, and I guess it comes down to the customers, which really I guess what you're talking about is EV manufacturers are just they see the demand and that's all that really matters.
I think, that from the automotive point of view, as kind of the leading market segment in the electrification right now, I think they have no choice. Especially in Europe, they have to electrify. They have to do it fast. They're subjected to some really large penalties if they don't get the average CO2 emissions per fleet average down below the thresholds, etc. So they are deeply incentivized to actually ensure that they get enough battery cell capacity online. And we are in a fortunate position to be the leading player in what we believe is the best location on the planet to produce these things. And European customers and US customers, they don't want to rely too much on Asian supply. They want to have supply closer to home. And we are establishing production footprint in Europe. And we are intending to establish production footprint in the US. We're going to deliver. Our aspiration is to be the lowest carbon footprint battery producer on the planet. We have US technology, which in our opinion is the best solution out there in the lithium-ion battery space, extremely flexible solution. And it's commercially introduced, so it's not sort of lab, it's not solid state batteries that still have fundamental R&D ahead of them. It's something that can be delivered now. So again, back to sort of my reason for joining FREYR, it's really about how can we make a difference? How can we develop sustainable solutions at scale so that I actually have a good answer to my children when they ask me, what did you do about the problem? Yeah.
Tom Jensen is the CEO of FREYR Battery, ticker FREY. He's up on the screen. Tom, it's been a pleasure to chat. Thank you for staying up late with us. We appreciate it, and we'll have to keep tabs and have you back on sometime down the road.
Thank you, Spencer, and it's great to follow you guys, and thank you for hanging on.
All right.
Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Have a good weekend, Tom. Okay. It is 10:22. Wow, we've been on for almost 2.5 hours, everyone. It's been a fun morning. I'm almost done, though. I'm going to hop off in a few minutes because I mentioned we do have some gaming content up next. We're doing a recap, a reaction video, if you will, of the EA play event that was yesterday that we streamed. If you missed it, we streamed it right here on our channel where they went through all the details of their pipeline, what to expect this year and into next year. So Benzinga's two resident gamers, producer AT, Aaron Thomas, and Steve Krause from our news desk are the diehards here, and they're going to hop on at 10:30 and a new stream and react to what EA said. This stream will end and will redirect right to that show at 10:30. After that, we of course have SPAX Attack as we do every day at 11 o'clock. No power hour today, unfortunately. Luke is out. Producer AB is out, and Jason I think is also out. So we'll be doing SPAX Michael Long, and we'll be doing a replay into Get Technical at 1 o'clock, followed by the Mooner Bus Show. Oh man, guys. I think today might be like Doge Day on our channel. It really might be Doge Day. We've got like the one of the founders of Dogecoin on Mooner Bus today at 2 o'clock. It's a huge day. So that'll be 2 o'clock Eastern time right here on this channel. That will be followed by Zinger Stock Trivia, the theme of which will be Dogecoin. And I've seen the questions, and I did not know the answers to any of them. So take that for what you will. That'll be followed by the At the Close show with Joel and I at 3:30, Money Mitch at 4 o'clock, and Technically Options to round out the day at 5. Oh, actually, one last thing. We are doing a webinar. We're trying to do a lot more webinars for our various products that we have. We did a webinar last night for Benzinga Pro. We're doing a webinar tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time, PM for the Benzinga Breakout newsletter. That's with Gianni Tapoci. So that'll be 7 o'clock right here on this channel. Looking ahead to tomorrow, yes, weekend content. If you're interested, tomorrow is the virtual virtual IPO roadshow for Robinhood. We are going to be live streaming that right here on this channel. That's at 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. So if you're interested in Robinhood and retail trading and that whole thing, tune into Benzinga tomorrow at 3 o'clock to watch the roadshow. If you've never seen a roadshow, basically an investor presentation, talking up the company, financials, telling the story, that whole thing. One of the silver linings, I guess, if you will, of the last year, has been the fact that because nobody could travel, all these roadshows had to go virtual, and I think that has increased access to them. Generally speaking, more investors have access to IPO roadshows. Robinhood obviously is making theirs public because that's the whole thing is being public and giving their clients access to the pre-IPO shares, giving them an allocation. So it makes sense that they would stream it for the public. So we're going to be streaming that tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Robinhood IPO Roadshow right here on Benzinga TV. I have not checked how many likes we are at today. I've not been asking for it really. How many likes are we at? We are at 330. Oh, I've been on for 2.5 hours. And I can't even get to 500. Get me to 500, please. That would make me feel a lot better. Let me catch up on the chat. Yeah, 3:30 for trivia, 2 o'clock for Moon or Bust interview with the co-founder of Dogecoin, and 3 o'clock for Dogecoin trivia today. Let me see. If you guys, I want some feedback. If you guys liked the little round robin thing we did at 9 o'clock today, let me know. Shoot us an email, shows@benzinga.com. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. And then again, as a reminder, tomorrow, where's the link? There it is. Tomorrow, Benzinga Bootcamp. Okay, benzingabootcamp.com all day, 9 to 5. In addition to the Robinhood stream, we'll also be, of course, streaming this live all day. Samantha LeDuc, Mike Pisani, aka Options Mike, Tim Quast, Peter Tuchman, David Green, they will both be there tomorrow. Chris Capri, Anne-Marie Band, Mark Petrino. We got a lot of good speakers tomorrow, all day. Here's the agenda right there. Right? All day, guys. 9 to 5. Check it out. benzingabootcamp.com. We do one of these a month. Somebody asked earlier about the education. This is it. This is like a full day of education. We're not sidetracked by headlines. We don't get distracted by the movements in the market because there is no market because it's closed. So this is it. A full day of education, benzingabootcamp.com. Check that out. Okay. We're at 350 likes. I think we went down. Did we go down? That's possible. Maybe not. All right, guys. That's going to be a wrap for me here this morning. Please remember, all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes and not for investing or trading advice. Thanks to all of my guests today. Thanks to Ryan. Thanks to Zunaid. Thanks to Money Mallard. Thanks to Tom Jensen as well from FREYR Battery. And thanks to all of you, of course, for watching or listening or, whatever. You could have been watching the Olympics, the opening ceremonies, but you're like, nah, I like Benzinga more, and for that, I appreciate you. Okay, it's 10:29. I'm going to wrap. EA Live gaming recap up next with Aaron Thomas and Steve Krause. Tune in for that. Drop me a like. I'll see you guys a little bit later.